What's up, Sydney?
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm great. I got new speakers. Are you hearing any bad feedback from them?
No?
Okay.
Sounds so good. What kind of speakers did you buy?
They're just Logitech.
Logitech. Okay.
Yeah, that's what like my camera and my stuff is. So I figured I'd stay with the same brand since I like it.
Okay. Awesome.
And I got my board finally.
Oh, you got a board? Damn, it looks fancy.
My husband picked it out, so I think he's got good taste. I'll give it to him.
Did it come with the framing?
Yeah,
Oh, how much was it?
he said it was like $10.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. So you drilled like holes on the wall yourself, or
He does all that for me.
who?
I don't even try. My husband.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, he just put a
Probably just put glue in the background.
there's so many holes in these walls, it's not even funny. They're not from us either, too. Like we just moved in and this place just had so many holes in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. They probably had a lot of pictures there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't even hung up my pictures. I'll probably just end up reusing holes for them.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Gonna be another video here. All right. This is your first week, right?
Mhm.
So, all right. So you're gonna be seeing another video from Tommy,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm sure you did take a lot of notes on that cool notebook that you have from yesterday, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. He explained over all of the different kinds of the no cost benefits and what everything was. And I even got in touch with Gina and she forwarded me all of the documents that he sent out to them that day too.
Oh, Regina?
Yeah.
Oh,
She was literally in the training and I was like, hey dude, I saw that you were in the training on whatever day that was. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember. And I was like, yeah, in there he said that he emailed you guys like documents that he was talking about. Could you like forward that to me? And she goes, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Just forwarded
awesome.
me everything.
That's great. Awesome. Any sits yesterday?
No, but I scheduled 7 people for today.
7 people. Wow.
Yeah, we actually are sitting. We're actually sitting with 8 of them, but I was able to get 7 on the schedule for today.
Oh, okay. Hey, wait, so who's running it? Are you doing like part of the presentation? Or
Yeah, so honestly, Christina says she's really like confident that I have the script down and like she's reviewed all my film and stuff like that. So she's got faith in me. So she's actually gonna let me do a couple pitches today.
get it, girl? I'll be
I'm
waiting
super
to see
excited.
you on GroupMe. Are you part of GroupMe?
Not yet, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure by after this weekend I will be though.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
100%.
Also, you're not released yet, right? No,
Nope.
you're not released yet. I'm sure you'll probably get released this week or next.
They said I am gonna probably stick with Christina for another week, but she's like, She says I'm rocking and rolling. So
That's what's up. All right. So can you see the video?
oh yeah.
All right, cool. So this is Tommy, and you know the drill. If something happens, just text me or call me, whatever.
Okay, too
All
easy.
right. All right. Awesome.
Playing right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can record here, but it sounds like super far
Oh
away.
wait. Oh, I did take off share screen.
understand how the career track works with the contracts, and
Wait, hold on. Hold on.
if you work to get promoted into management, you'll see the board. Okay, if I need to dive into it, right? All right. So what I want to do is I want to do just a recap for us of the first week, real quick, just touching on it. It could be 5 minutes or 50 minutes, depends on how many questions you guys really have.
Can you hear it? Okay, awesome.
On anything. So the first day, we spent going over the history of the agency a little bit, and making sure that we went over understanding the opportunity from the pure numbers standpoint, just so you understand how the career track works with the contracts, and if you work to get promoted into management and leadership, how that all works. So I wanted to make sure that we spent the time doing that very first day. Somebody sat down and explained that to me, and based upon the way that they explained it to me, I was able to, navigate through my career a lot faster, more efficiently, just because I understood it a little bit, but I wasn't going in blind, right? So that's what we did day one. Day two, you guys should have spent time with Casey and went over the importance of activity. There's a certain amount of phone calls you need to make. There's a certain amount of sit downs that you need to generate on a weekly basis. The importance of referrals on that activity, how you can generate more activity through referrals. That's what you should have went over on Tuesday, right? So just stopping there. Do you guys have any questions, comments, or anything around day one, day two? Any questions about any of your notes? Now that you maybe start applying it a little bit from your first 2 days of notes that you guys see, because you could ask them. I could try and get some of those questions answered for you.
I didn't have any questions. Phil, did you
Okay.
have any?
No, not so far. It's just chugging along.
All right, good. We got Mason and Alex is here.
What's up, guys?
Guys? No? Okay. All right, pretty straightforward stuff so far. So if I could just reiterate a couple things then, is just understanding, that when we make phone calls, first of all, the phones, you got to learn how to handle the phones. The phones, it's just, it's a different animal, so you got to understand how to handle the phones. The phones is a pure numbers game. It's a pure numbers game. The way we can increase and get better numbers throughout our whole entire sales process from the beginning, when you make that phone call, when you talk to that person, when you book that person, then you got to see that person, you got to present to that person, and then you got to sell, and then they got to enroll at a certain rate, and I got to give you referrals, right? So that whole process, you can tighten it up, and you can increase the percentages of, like, man, instead of me making 20 phone calls, or let me see, what is it? 15 phone calls to get one talk to, right? What if I can make 5 phone calls to get a talk to? That would be better, wouldn't it? And then every time I talk to somebody, what if I had to talk to 3 people in order to book one? Wouldn't it be better if I could talk to 2 people and book one?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it? So what we have to do is find ways throughout this whole entire process to get sharper and sharper and sharper, and increase our percentages and chances of success. So after you talk to somebody, then you want to book them, right? So let's say you increase that ratio. Now, after you book them, guess what you have to do? You have to get them to show up for that presentation, right? Well, if it takes you 3 people to get one presentation. You have to schedule 3 presentations to get one of them to show. Think how much more work you're gonna have to do, because it only takes me 2 presentations to get one to show. You know, you're doing 50% more work to get that same activity. Now, when you get someone to show, and there's certain tactics, techniques, systems, procedures, processes, all of those that go into having a higher show ratio versus having a lower show ratio. Some people may either not know what to do, maybe not do it the right way. They're doing the wrong things. They're doing the wrong things the wrong way. And that's why you're going to have a low show ratio. But if you can find out the people that have a high show ratio, what are they all doing? Okay, I noticed that this person does like X, Y, and Z. He does. There's 12 things that they do, and every time they book an appointment. And I noticed they do all those 12 things every time. But they also have the highest show ratio. You know what I would do? I would go get those 12 things, write them down, and make sure that I check them off every time I set an appointment as well, you know? So the key is there's certain things that you can do and that you should do that are gonna get you, for sure, it's pretty much proven that if you do this, you're gonna get this result. And if you don't do that, you're gonna get that result. And if you do this, then you get that result. So we wanna find out what are those certain things that we need to do and be disciplined, you know, to the very detail of those things. You can't just say, oh, I did it, but you did it sloppy. You didn't do it like the other person did it. You have to do it the detailed way. So anyways, that's what we're going to continue to work on. Every time we do this, you're going to get more detailed, more detailed, more detailed, more detailed. At first, you're just trying to tackle somebody when you're playing football. You're just trying to just tackle them. You don't care. Just get them onto the ground, grab them by the leg, by their whatever. But the more that you do it, the more you're able to see it happen, and the more you're able to actually do, you know, plan it out, do the proper, you teach it for, like boxing. If you went into a fight, you never did box before, you would just be trying to throw a punch. But after you do it for a while, now you're getting more detailed with your punches, right? You're starting to think of how your hips turn in, where your footing is, where your head placement is. A lot of different things come into play when you start thinking the details of it. And then you could think of how detailed do you think Floyd Mayweather is versus an 18-year-old, you know, rookie? Just that's what happens in the business too, is you're going to get more detailed because you're just going to do it more. You're going to see things coming way before they come, you know? You're not even going to have to think. Like a boxer don't have to think. They don't even have to think. It's just like a natural reaction. That's how you're going to be with your presentation. And you're going to see, like a great boxer can see the punch coming a mile away. They can see these, like, oh, he's lining up a combo. And they already know it. You're going to know what the client's saying. You're going to be sitting there like, all right, I heard this I heard this yesterday. I heard it earlier this morning. We heard it in training class. Well, you're telling me right now, I heard it a million times. So I'll listen to it. And you're going to listen to whatever they say, because you don't want to cut them off. Let them say whatever they want to say. Let them get it off their chest. And then you just completely just come back with them with the trained rebuttal that we taught us how to handle, you know, and we flip someone who, you know, doesn't want something into someone to get something. So the point of it is we're going to have to find, you know, over time, ways to get a better show ratio. And when you see people, you want to have a better closing ratio. And when you close people, you don't want to have a low ALP per sale. You want to have a higher ALP per sale. So the longer that you're here, the better you're going to get at lining up higher ALP per sale. Gio didn't always close at 2,200 ALP per sale. He didn't. When he started out, he could barely close a sale. Then he started closing sales, but they were average, 600, 700, 800 ALP, maybe 1,000. But over time, because of focusing on being disciplined to the details, now if he walks in, if Gio makes a sale, it's $150 check minimum. Like I think his typically like shows him 400, 300, 200 a month. Those are option A, B, and C. So if you here's your 3 options, you know, you got $100 a week, $75 a week, or $50 a week. I'm not even sure if you can even qualify for this program. So I need to make sure you can even qualify first while you think about what's best for your family. and then you take it away from them. And then you start filling out the application. So the ALP per sale. And then what's after that is referrals per sale. The referrals per sale. And the more you're here, the longer that you're here, the more referrals per sale you get. Do you see how it can just literally, when you increase every percentage a little bit along the way, it adds up to be a big percentage at the end. So the numbers, let me go over average numbers. Would take you, it takes average right now 30, I believe 30. Yeah, it's 15 and 30. So it takes about 15 calls to get one talk to. Okay. And it takes 2 talk tos to get one set. So let me put it on the board a little bit better. So first you have to make what? A call. Then you have to get what? A talk to. So it's going to take us 30 calls. It'll get us 2 talk tos. 2 talk tos will get you one set. So if you know that you need to have at least 20 set a week, then you're going to need to talk to how many people? 40 people, right? In order to talk to 40 people, 30 times 1, you'd have to make what? How many calls? That's 600? Does that seem right? $600 calls will get you 20 appointments set. Does this make sense? My math right? You guys want to check it real quick? Pretty good? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right, good. So 600 calls. That's we have people this week that put up over 1,000. People put up over 1,000. So is it going to be easy? It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to you. You're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to make the calls. We got to make the calls. So that what we have to do now is have to figure out when can we get this done? Let's put it in our schedule. So how many hours, how many phone calls per hour can you make? No, average, on average. You're calling all week. How many phone calls per hour did you get this week? 40 phone calls per hour? 100 per hour? So the average, okay, it could be 30 to 40. So I like to use 25 just to make sure, just to under promise, guys, right? So if you can make 25 calls in 1 hour, which you should be able to make more, but if you make 25 calls in an hour, then we would take 600 calls and divide that by 25. And that'll tell us how many hours that we need to call. So 600
24.
divided by 25 is
24.
24 hours. So we need to call for 24 hours. Okay. Now, when can we do this? We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, we can call from 4 till 9. That's always been the best time for us to call American Income. Monday, 4 to 9, that's prime time. That's when we get it in. That's when we call. Now, you can also call earlier in the day, though. Have all morning, all afternoon to get some extra calls in on a Monday. but so far we're at 5 hours. Thursday, we typically call 4 till 9. That puts us another 5 hours in. So we're already 10 down. Now, on Tuesday and Friday, Monday night, we called Monday night. Okay. But we still have, we have all day Tuesday and Wednesday to go see clients. So what we do in the morning is we get more appointments booked and we designate time in our schedule to make morning phone calls, because if we never call in the morning at all, you got these leads, you got these people, they were filled out these requests, you're trying to get in touch with them. If you don't call them in the morning, there's certain people in that lead pack that are just never going to answer their phone, because that's pretty much like the only time that they're even available. Because during the day, they're working, she's working the night shift, he's coaching, he got to take the kids over here, he's going to visit his mom's sick, right? If you want to catch these people, you're going to have to call in the morning, or there's going to be, just chalk it up that 10 or 20% of your lead pack, you're just never going to call and never going to see if you don't call them in the morning. So you have to say, well, if I know I need to call in the morning, then when is that going to be? When's it going to be? Put it in your schedule. So for us, I'll give you recommendation, right? Recommendation for me, Tuesday morning from 8 until 10, and Friday morning from 8 until 10 is a prime time to get that in. Prime time to get it in.
Is there attendance too early?
What's that?
Is there ever attendance too early?
Yeah. So time that's too early. You really don't want to call before 8 and after 9.
Like a lot of union members start work early, especially construction, they go to work at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, we can't call at 7. Yeah, you get in trouble. Unless the guy told you, obviously call me at 7, that's a different story. But yeah, 8 until 9 is the prime. So we got 13 hours a day. 13 hours a day, it's wide open for us to call. So these are I'm just giving you like the key ones that I would just book in, like make this part of my system. Because what's going to happen Monday is you're going to call and you're going to find out that there's still gaps in your schedule for Tuesday. You might have some gaps in your schedule for Wednesday. So Tuesday morning, you could fill the rest of your gaps for Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night. Same day sets are the best. So the problem with calling Mondays is you only have one opportunity to get a same day presentation, which I would give a 9 p.m. presentation on Monday, and you could give a 9 p.m. presentation on Thursday. So when I'm calling Monday, I'm calling to book Tuesday and Wednesday, but I'm also calling to, and especially if you can get a referral, the chances of you making a sale are going to be through the roof. Same day set appointments, the show ratio is really high, the closing ratio is really high. And then prime time appointments for us, if you book somebody at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, closing ratio is really high. And if it's a referral, closing ratio is really high. So if you think about it, if you meet with somebody, if you call them on Monday, it's a referral, you call the referral Monday, you book them for Monday night at 9 o'clock, right? The chances of you making a sale that day just went through the roof. And your week didn't even start yet. It's still Monday night. Everybody else is going out Tuesday hoping they're going to get a sale. You already got a sale Monday night. What were you doing at 9 o'clock on Monday night anyways? Like seriously, like what the heck could you possibly be doing on Monday night at 9 o'clock? If you're at this office, you're probably getting your stuff, packing it up and just driving on home, and you're going to go to bed. So why not stick around for an extra hour, make $1,000 real quick and get one of your presentations out of the way for the week, and top off your call night and get a bunch of momentum going into the week. So I would go the extra mile on Mondays now, which I never had the ability to do this. I would do this if I didn't have the ability to do this. I had to be in call night on Monday nights. So Monday night, call night ends at 9. Thursday night, call night ends at 9. Guess what I have Thursday night lined up? PM. Got a 9 p.m. lined up for Thursday night, call night, right? Everybody's going to get beers. You're out here, get your deal built. The other times when we could call, how many hours is this now? We just added 2 on Friday, 2 on Tuesday, 8 till 10 a.m., 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. on Tuesday, 8 till 10 on Friday. So we're going to add another 4, right? So now we're at 14 hours for the week. So we need to call for another 5. Well, Wednesday afternoon from like 11 till 1 is a prime time situation to call. Well, so Wednesday 11 till 1, add another 2 on there, puts us at 16 hours. And then on Monday and Thursday, you'll notice that people come up here and make phone calls in the mornings on Monday and Thursday. And a lot of them will call like right around 11, 12, they'll call through lunch. So what usually a lot of people do is they'll give themselves 2 or 3 hours of call time here on a Monday. So they'll put 2 here, 2 here on a Thursday afternoon. They'll come in before phones, make some phone calls. They'll call in the morning. So you can get phone calls, 2 hours of phone calls in the mornings here. You have all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, all day Friday, and all day Saturday, okay? You're going to be in the field all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, all day Friday, all day Saturday. You're going to have appointments lined up. So you might have one at 2 o'clock, one at 4 o'clock, one at 6 o'clock, one at 8 o'clock, one at 9 o'clock. You might got, an extra one. You got 2 booked at 4 or something. So you got 6, 7, 8 appointments on your schedule for the day. Well, you go through your day and the 2 o'clock ends up not being there. And your next appointment's not till 4 o'clock. So what do you think you should do? Make some calls, right? So what you do each day is you want to be able to put in 50 to 100 calls a day during the field. So when you're out there in the field, this ain't counting in the morning. This is when you're out there in the field, you put in 50 to 100 phone calls a day. They would say 100 a day. 100 a day will keep the bill collectors away. That's what they say. They say 100 a day, keep the bill collectors away. You put up 100 phone calls a day. When you're in the field, figure a way, make it happen, chalk it up, add the numbers up. Have one of those things where you count your phone calls, in your car or in your office or something where you can count them out. But yeah, so by putting up 50 to 100 phone calls when you're out in the field, that's going to take about 2 to 4 hours in the field during the day. So while you're out in the field, you should, even if you just do 2 hours per day, 2 hours per day, that's another 8 hours of calls. 8 hours on top of the what? 16 equals what? 24, and that's what we needed to have was 24 hours. So this for me was how I would figure out how to make sure that I got my phone calls in, right? So this is basically on a Monday, getting 2 hours of calls in before phone session starts. This is doing a good phone session on Monday night, 4 to 9, running a good phone session for yourself, focusing, calling, hitting your numbers, dialing, being positive, smiling when you're dialing, being coachable, putting it in, letting it all lay out there. Go. And when you start working out, it's kind of sucks. You're sore. You don't see no results at all. You're tired. None of it makes sense really. Some of the movements, you're not used to it. That's what it's going to be. Phone sessions aren't going to be like a normal, after you start going to the gym, you get the momentum going. Come in 2 months, phone sessions for you, you're going to be humming. You're going to be flowing. You're going to be going right through these phone sessions. You're going to be cutting them down real nice. But right now, it's going to be new to you, right? So we got to get used to running a good phone session. It's 5 hours, man. It's 5 hours. And this is where you make all your money. You guys know you make all your money on Monday night, and then you go just pick up your checks on Tuesday and Wednesday when you go see your clients. Thursday, you're going to set up your appointments for Friday, Saturday. Basically, you're making all your money. Because if you don't have any appointments, what are you going to do? If you don't have no appointments Friday, if you don't have no appointments Saturday, are you making any money? No. So when are you making your money? You're making your money on the phones, guys. You are making your money on the phones. That's where all the money's made. So this can't just be going through the motions. Oh, it's just another phone night. You got to get hyped for phone night. Anytime you get the chance to make a phone call, you got to get hyped for the phone call, because that's where the real money is made. When you go out and see the clients, you're going to give a presentation. You're going to give the same best presentation you always give. 1 out of 3 of them are going to enroll. Average ALP is going to be about 900 to 1,000 ALP per sale that you get. So we always would say that you make your money on call night and you just go pick up the checks over the weekend. You just go pick up the checks from your clients when you go see them. So Monday, good phone session Monday night. Hey, and you top it off, put a cherry on top, and you run a presentation at 9 o'clock at night. You caught the guy on the phone. Hey, actually, I can get you and your wife squared away today. I'm actually pretty booked up, but I can get you caught up here around 9 o'clock tonight. I'll send you over a Zoom link. How's around 9:15 work for you and your wife? Okay, perfect. I'll send you a Zoom link. You click on it. Let me know if it works. Okay, great. Tell your wife, I'll see you guys then. Look forward to getting caught up with you. Boom. You got them lined up for 9 o'clock the same day. Same day. And then you get to hop on a screen with them. They weren't expecting you to get on the screen. Then they get all excited, right? It's lights, camera, action. Now you get to put on a show for them. Instead of them watching Dancing with the Stars on Monday night or some depressing news or something, they get to watch you for an hour. So anyways, from 9 to 10, knock that out, man. Why not? If they don't watch you on there, they're going to go in their living room and put on something. They're going to go in their living room and put on something. So that's my philosophy on that. Same thing every night of the week. Every night of the week, I'd rather them watch me than whatever the heck they were going to be watching. So Tuesday morning, I just made calls Monday night. So we call Tuesday morning YAC. You guys know what YAC is? In football, YAC is YAC. YAC. In football, if you're a running back, they call it yards after contact. So if I'm running down the field and I get hit and I just fall over, then guess how many yards after contact I have? None, right? But the running back for the Titans, what's his name? Henry. He has a high YAC because when he gets hit, he just keeps on moving. He gets another 7 yards after contact, right? That's a running back. Now, a receiver, they also do a YAC for a receiver. You know what they call YAC for a receiver? Yards after catch. Some receivers catch the ball and fall right on the ground. And guess how many yards after catch that is? None, right? Some receivers catch the ball and they keep it moving, right? I thought the receiver for the Chiefs, what's his name? Tyreek Hill. I thought he would be like high on the list. We checked it last time I talked about this, and he wasn't. Actually, I was surprised. But like you would think a guy like Tyreek Hill, he catches the ball, and after he catches the ball, he goes 40 yards down the field. You can't even touch the guy, right? He keeps it moving. He don't just catch the ball and fall over. So some people in his business, you won't believe it, but they'll only show up for call night, and they'll only call during call night, and then they don't do nothing else. Right? They don't go for that. We call this your appointments after call night. That's YAC. You want to know what YAC is? Y is your, and then A is appointments after call night. YAC. So how many appointments do you add after call night? Or do you just call till 9 o'clock on Monday and only run those appointments on Tuesday, Wednesday? Do you add more appointments after call night? And that's what you do Tuesday morning from 8 until 10. You get some YAC, the YAC attack. You get extra appointments in. Tuesday afternoon, you get no-showed for an appointment, or they have to reschedule with you. you have a gap in your schedule for one reason or another, you got an hour or two free. Let's get some more appointments. Wednesday afternoon is great. 11 to 1. Smack dab right in the middle of the week. Right in the middle of the week, right in the middle of the day. Right? Most people working from what, 8 until 5, 9 until 5, 7 until 3, right? So what's right in the middle of that day for them is 11 to 1. And that's right in the middle of their week. So you hit them, boom, right in the middle of the week. For some reason, I don't know why, but it works. So you could call Wednesday and get more appointments set for Wednesday night and also get a head start on your weekend. Okay? So anyways, we execute this plan. Thursday, Wednesday, you're in the field making phone calls. Thursday, we have phone session, hit at 9 o'clock. Friday, call from 8 until 10. And then Friday and Saturday, when you're out in the field, maybe 2 hours of calling during your free time. Since we don't have to drive now to appointments as well, you're definitely going to have some more time. Before, it was tough for me to hit these calls, guys. It was hard because I had to drive from one appointment to another and try and make phone calls in between. Like while I'm driving, I'm like looking at a GPS. I've never been in this side of the town before. Driving by the house 3 times. I missed an exit. I can't tell you how many. I got pulled over. A cop thought like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm lost, officer. I got the schedule. I'm trying to call these appointments, so you don't have to deal with that. Flat tires, snow, all the stuff that has to go into that. The money, how much money you think I had to put in gas? Okay. So does this make any sense? Making some sense? I kind of want to just bring some light to, really what goes into it and put some fundamentals behind it, put some numbers behind it, make some sense of it a little bit. Now that's when we're going to get these calls in. But if you're putting 24 hours, now you got to give 10 presentations, guys. 10 presentations. How long is it going to take to give 10 presentations? Well, how about this? If you give 10 presentations, how many are typically going to enroll? 4? Okay, let's say 4 enroll. Each one enrolls, takes you an hour and a half to fill out the paperwork and everything. So you're looking at 6 hours of presenting right there, right? For the clients that don't enroll, how long are you going to present to them? The clients that don't enroll on average, maybe an hour. Okay. So you got 6 left. 4 of them said yes. It took you an hour and a half each. That's 6 hours. 6 of them said no. They took you 1 hour each. So it took you 6 hours. So that's a total of what? 12 hours of presenting. 12 hours of presenting. Let's just add 3 hours in there for preparation, and I don't even know what else, okay? We're just adding 3 hours to say it took you an extra 3 hours to do all these presentations for some reason, okay? That makes us 15. So we know we have to put 24 in on the calls and 15 in on the presenting. That's 39 hours for the week, right? 39 hours for the week. Done right. Executed skillfully like a professional. Now, you can't say I want to get professional results, but you don't want to do what professionals do, and professionals do what professionals do. So you got to figure that out. There's like 70 million things that they do. You got to get them all right. They work hard, they show up late. They professionals, they put in the preparation to become a professional. If you read a book, Malcolm Gladwell, but what's Malcolm Gladwell say? If you want to become a professional at something, it takes you 10,000 hours of doing something to become a professional, right? So you can't even expect and say, how come I'm not getting professional results? Well, because you're not executing like a professional, because you haven't prepared like a professional, because you didn't put 10,000 hours in yet. That's all. So let's just understand it's not going to happen in a day. I can't make you a professional at this business in a day. But we can do this daily. But you have to understand it does take time. And mathematics is the path is what? How many times did I say it this week already? The path is all what? Oh my goodness. The path is all what?
The path is through the obstacle?
The path is all math. You guys. The numbers. No, it rhymes. It even rhymes. How'd you guys forget? I made it rhyme all nice and nice for us. The path is all math. What did we just go over? What do you think we just went over? Was that math? We just went over math. I've been good over math this whole time. Phil, he hates math. He wants me to call him and go over a private math session.
I don't mind math.
I would do math with you guys on Monday too, didn't I? It was a lot of numbers, but I swear I'm very numbers driven, and it's all math though. It really is. And if you can understand that, you can just figure it out a lot easier, you know? So, what the heck were we just saying? Professional. Oh, so here's what a professional is. A professional is 10,000 hours. How long is it going to take you to get 10,000 hours in at something, right? Think about that. You only got so many hours in a week. So here's what I figured. I said, if you do 40 hours a week, 40 hours a week times 50 weeks is how many hours? That's 2,000 hours in a year. So if you do 40 hours a week and you do that for 50 weeks, you just did 2,000 hours. And you need how many to be a professional? 10. So how many years would it take? 5. Make sense? It would take you 5 years. So 5 years from now, you can say, oh, I'm a professional. Start paying me like a professional gets paid. But what are you professional at? That's the thing. Like, you could be a professional in this business, and then you're going to get paid what professional people get paid in this business. You can also go be a professional baker, right? A professional baker doesn't make the same as a professional sports car driver, and doesn't make the same as a professional doctor, as doesn't make the same as a professional baseball player. You got to choose your profession, right? And then you can't get mad that the professional insurance agent is making more than the professional dentist. You just can't get mad. You chose to be the dentist. We chose to do insurance. They put 10,000 hours in there, they make 180,000. You put 10,000 hours in here, you make $250,000. Right? You can't get mad if you, but I'm a professional. Yeah, you're a professional baker. You know? So the whole point of it is what can we do to speed this up? That was what I was like, I don't want to wait 5 years. I said, well, what if I do, check this out. This is crazy. What if I do what I've always done, which is work my ass off? Because when my nana came to this country on an arranged marriage, and she didn't know who she was marrying, she just came over on a boat to marry Joe Vina. She only brought 2 things with her. She had 2 suitcases. You guys know that? It's crazy. Imagine getting sent over to a country to marry a person you never met before, because there was no opportunity. They're like, all right, things are pretty bad over here. In order for our chances of survival, in order to have an opportunity, we're gonna have to send our youngest daughter over to America and marry this random person and hope it works out. And then maybe we can get our family out of here and get some better opportunity, because there was no opportunity where they were at. So they came to America to have what? Opportunity. Now I have a fucking opportunity, don't I? Do I have an opportunity? Guess what I would do? It's not an opportunity for me. It's an obligation. My whole family, my nana sacrificed everything for my family to have an opportunity like this. And then I want to show up here and act entitled. I want to show up here and act like I have to do this. No, I get to do this. And that's where that obligation. See, an opportunity is different, guys. If this was an opportunity for me, then, hey, you have an opportunity to go to dinner tonight, Phil, Gabby. You're like, you want to know what? I don't feel like going, right? Hey, buddy, you have an opportunity to go to Disneyland. I don't really want to go to Disneyland. There's COVID and stuff right now. Like, that's a cool opportunity, but I'm going to have to turn that opportunity down, right? Opportunity, you don't have to take it. You don't have to take the opportunity, do you? Opportunity is a chance. You don't have to do it. It's not an opportunity for me. It's an obligation. I have to do this. This is an obligation. I have to. There's no, like I'm some rich boy that has like, oh, like, you know, like you could either come or go, you know, you don't have, no, I don't have opportunity. From where I come from, this is it. This is the, now let me ask you this. If you had an obligation to do something, if you were obligated to do it, you had to do it, you don't have a choice in the matter, right? Like you have to be at dinner tonight. Is way different than, hey, you have an opportunity to go to dinner tonight. So that's what I look at this opportunity as, right? So when I came here, believe me, I put way more than 80 hours a week, and we'll talk about 80 hours a week. You do 80 hours a week, and you times that by 50 weeks, now you're putting 4,000 hours a year in, right? So how many years is that going to take? 2.5 years. So if you do something for 80 hours a week, 2.5 years from now, you'll be an absolute professional at it. And you can get professional results, and professional results pay you professional income, right? So that just shows you the math on behind becoming a professional. Okay. So anyways, we're talking 39 hours for the week right here, guys. 39 hours for the week between presentations and phone calls. Tons of time to get training in there on top of that. There's training, team building. If you want to recruit and start building your team, if you want to work on personals, if you want to do more than this, you can make more phone calls. You can give more presentations. You can make more sales. The key is we should be seeing at least 10 people and enrolling at least 4 people, okay? And each client at 1,000 ALP per sale. And really, that'll put you at 4,000 ALP a week. And that'll put you at $2,000 a week in income, which is $100,000, which is professional income. And we could get you a lot faster than 2.5 years. $2,000 a week in income, that's 4,000 ALP. That's only 4 sales at 1,000 ALP a sale, which is only 10 presentations and closing at 40%. That's average. Pretty average. Guys, last week we had average ALP this year, like we've been averaging about 3,000 ALP per person, like per week. Like people are pretty much doing about 3,000. That's what we're looking at. Last week, we averaged 3,000 a person last week. Some people hit 9,000, but we averaged 3,000 a person last week. So, I mean, that's good company to be in. Good company to be in. If you're just average, you'll be making 1,500 a week. All right, now if we go here, calls, talk to, sets, what's that looking like? Now, if you set 10, 20, we just did this. I just wrote this on the board. If you set 20, what are you going to do? You're going to what? You're going to see 10, you know? You're going to sell 4, right? And then the ALP, if it's 1,000 ALP a sale, you'll be at 4,000 for the week. If it's 800 ALP a sale, you're at 3,200 for the week. Only thing we didn't talk about on here would be referrals. And referrals can really change the game. Did Casey go over to referral tree? Did you go over to referral tree?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. That's one of the first things that I was taught when I got into this industry is my boss, leader at the time, took a whiteboard and basically just drew this tree. Did you guys draw the tree in your notebooks? A little bit?
Sort of, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. He's like, you know, if you have a client, right, and you take this one client, and if you can get this client to give you 5 referrals, and then you could see those 5 people, and you could get them to give you 5 referrals. You could imagine, you know, and then you get these 5 people to give you 5 referrals. And then you get these 5 people to give you 5 referrals. And he said, can you imagine the possibility all from just one client? Do you understand you can feed your family for a year if you meet the right client and you do it the right way? That's how beautiful this business is. And you don't have to wait or rely or ask somebody for a pay raise or beg or kiss somebody's butt or what. You can do whatever. You can make it how you want it. You can set it up how you want it. You don't have to, if you want to get a pay raise, if you want to increase your sales, if you want to get on a nice track, referrals are the way to do it with the least amount of resistance. So if you know statistically a referral will close at 2 out of 3 versus the lead will close at typically 1 out of 3. So if you mix it in there, if you mix a couple referrals in, a couple leads, maybe you can get a good 40% closing ratio. And that's kind of what situation is. The average person would probably sit around a 40% closing ratio. But leads close 1 to 3. But referrals close 2 to 3. So some people are heavy on referrals and they're closing high rates, 60, 70%. Some people are horrible with referrals and they're just sitting around hoping they get some leads next week. You don't want to be the person who's always asking for leads. Hey, anybody know when we're going to get leads next? Or like, you should be like, I don't know, bro. I don't really pay attention to that. I'm so busy calling my referrals. If they gave me leads, I don't even know if I'd be able to call them. Like, that's the person who you know is making money for sure. The other person over there, I wouldn't put money in their stock. The person who got the referrals, I put money in there. I'd invest into that stock all day long. They're on an upward trend right now on the Dow Jones. So does that make sense, guys? So you want to do everything you possibly can to be the best at referrals, the absolute best. When you look at your schedule, you want half of your schedule to be coming from referrals. If it's not, then there's definitely opportunity for you to improve. So if you want to have, 30 appointments booked, you want to have 15 referrals on your schedule. If you want to have 20 appointments booked, you're probably going to have about 10 referrals booked on your schedule for the week. So anyways, I wanted to hit on the referral tree. Understand the mindset behind that. One family can change the game. They say it only takes one family to set your whole entire week up, to set your whole entire month, some families. I met a lady who, on a Saturday morning, who loved the program. And I showed her that she has the opportunity to sponsor her friends and family to get the same exact benefits that she got, but they don't have to be in the union. They don't have to pay any union dues, but they're going to get access to all the exclusive union benefit programs at the union at the union discounted rates. She's like, oh, wow. Well, can my cousin? I was like, yeah, you can sponsor your cousin. And we went through, I was like, let's go through your phone from A to Z. That way we don't miss anybody, okay? And we'll make sure that we get these out to the most important people to you. So what she did is she gave me the list. We got through it. Then we identified the most important people, called them first. And what we found out is that it's probably going to be easiest if they just come over her house. So for the next month and a half, every Saturday, I went to this lady's house Saturday morning, and she had a different person in her family waiting to get life insurance. This is my nephew. He just had a new son. He's a single dad. Boom. Got it. This is my mom, right? This is my aunt. This is my cousin. Every Saturday, I went back to her house. And I always brought donuts because they said donuts prevent donuts. So I'm like, all right, well, if they say bring them, I'm bringing them. I don't think twice. When people tell me to do something, I'm just dumb enough to be coachable and just do it, So I would show up with donuts on Saturday morning to all my appointments. And I bring donuts and a smile, to everybody's house. And sometimes they'd be diabetic. They couldn't even eat the donuts. I felt bad, for bringing them, but anyways, it was the gesture that mattered. So I brought her donuts the first day and I found out she don't like donuts, but I found out she likes pie. Cause like, you don't like donuts? She's like, no. I was like, well, what do you like? And we found out like after going through like what she likes pie. So for the next few Saturdays when I showed up at her house, I showed up at her house. I brought donuts to my other appointments, but for her house, I brought pie. So every Saturday I showed up with like 2 different kinds of pies. Like I figured we would try like the peach pie and the apple pie today. And then next week I showed up with like the berry pie and the cherry pie, but that one client right there. And then from those people, her brother-in-law, her cousin, like all these other people, they gave me referrals. And I didn't know anybody in the town, but that one person fed me for a month and a half, 2 months, and got me into a lot of families that I never would have met before. Be thankful for the leads. I never got a lead in my life. If I wanted to get business, guess who had to get the business? Me. I had to go get it. I had to go find it. I had to call, figure it out. Friends, family, relatives, walk through the mall, drum up conversation with this guy, go into a business, go take people to lunch. I had to figure it out. So when I got the leads, man, I was able to really be appreciative, and because of that, I maximize the resource. Like somebody who don't do this business, they're like, let's say you never experienced what I experienced. I experienced 3 years of being in 100% commission sales business with no leads. Go out there and figure it out, Tommy. Like, go figure it out. Me and Mason were watching the Animal Planet the other night, right? And the leopards, they had these leopards, and like the leopards were like 1-2 years old. And like even though he's only 1 year old, his mom is no longer going to be able to help him. And he is now on his own, and he got to go figure out how to eat, right? That's how I was. They were like, all right, go figure it out. And I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, go hunt, young one. I'm like I didn't know. They gave me like nothing, no resources or anything. So I figured it out. I made it happen. But when I came here, they're like, I couldn't believe it. Like, oh my God, you got leads? You call these people to answer? And then they schedule an appointment with you. You don't have to argue with anybody? Like, this is nuts. You don't have to call them back 16 times to get an appointment booked? I couldn't believe it. So I was very appreciative of it. But if you never had to go through what I went through, you get a lead, they don't answer your call. You're like, heck with this person. You throw them in a garbage can because you don't appreciate and understand what that lead's about. So the leads are typically $26 for one person's name to be generated. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen in order for that name to get generated, in order for it to be put right into your lead pack. The impact system alone cost $100,000 for us to have for this agency. So the impact system, just to manage the leads, costs $100,000. Then if I give you 100 leads and there's 26 leads in there, guess how much that costs? There's $2,600. How much did you pay for it? How much? Nothing. You didn't pay anything for it. So what you got to do is just make sure you understand that and you appreciate it, and that you do everything you can to exhaust. And you say, you can't only call them from 5 to 9 and then think they don't ever answer. You got to call them at different times of the day. We got to try different things, with them as well. No, it'd be $2,600. $26 times 100 leads. No, not 26 leads. I wouldn't give you 26. I'll give you more than that. Right? Yeah, but the point is, guys, we're not gonna stop that. That's always gonna happen forever and ever and ever. And we have an endless supply. There's just so many. We could go get more like that. Okay. So we're gonna continue to grow, and we will never ever run out of leads, like ever, ever. So just so you guys know, like there's plenty of room for you to grow and for us to just keep on going. But yeah, so that's a lot on the activity side of things, man. I think the referrals are something that if you wanted to get an edge for yourself, that can be your little edge that you can get, because everybody's going to get the leads. Everybody's going to get them, right? So if you're calling him, he's going to call him. You're pretty much going to, if you max it out or you max it out, you're both going to get pretty much the same results, you know? So if you want to get an edge on that person, you know you're going to have to find and pull something up your sleeve. And every single week, if you can, the referrals are going to be the thing that sets you apart. Guarantee it. The referrals are what sets the top people apart, you know? And referrals is a great sign that you're doing a good job at your business. You know, like you're so darn good at your business that all of your clients are telling everybody about it, and they're telling everybody they got to go see this guy. They got to go see this girl. That's a great sign that you're just doing a good job. And it solidifies your current business. If I sell, you know, Mary, and then Mary introduces me to her brother-in-law or her brother and her sister, when her brother-in-law or her sister or her cousin or her friend or her teammate from college, and now I got 3 of her people all into the program. So now when I call Mary, I can also talk about them. She's not going to ever cancel. Why would she cancel? She told them to get the stuff, and now she's canceling it? She can't do that. You know? So, and what people do, like when I bought an iPhone, I wanted someone else to buy an iPhone and then tell me it worked awesome, so that I just felt like I felt good about my purchase, you know? So like if you go sell Mary's brother, and then Mary's brother is like, oh yeah, I just met with Gabby. Thank you for sending her over. She did a great job. Mary's thinking like, I knew it. I knew I made a good decision. Yeah. And that solidifies the deal with her. She never wants to cancel. And then they're all involved. So the retention on that business is great. And the propensity to get referrals from referrals is better. So like I meet with a lead, and the way I met with the lead is through them filling out a card, right? So that's the way that they understand this to work. Like, so people fill the card out, then you come see them, right? But then I get a referral from that person, and I go see the referral. How's the referral think it works? The referral's like, oh, so Mary referred you to me. That's how you got here. Oh, so I got to refer you to somebody now too, right? So it's harder to get the referral from the lead, but a referral from a referral is a lot easier to get, and for many different reasons, it's better. It's absolutely better. So you can't just get referrals and stop. That's when you sink your teeth in, you smell blood. When you get the referral, if you get a referral, hallelujah. And then the referral booked with you, yes. And then they actually sat down and you presented to them, this is great. Then they buy from you. You have to get referrals from that referral. That is the ultimate right there. That's how you can really unlock things for yourself. Telling you guys. So, so that's some of that kind of stuff. On Wednesday, you guys went in with Drew. No, actually, I'm sorry. Wednesday, you had Vince, right? Vince on Wednesday. And Vince went over the beginning part of the presentation, went over rapport building and that kind of stuff. Did he go into playing the first video? Or did Drew get into that? Well, point of it is, one thing that they went over with you, that they should have went over with you, is explaining to the client why we are here. So let's say you had to give a presentation right now. First thing you do is you pull up the Zoom, right? They pop on and you say, hey, how you doing? Make a joke or two, get them to laugh, smile, right? Then you're going to pull up the screen. It usually says who we are. And it's like a nice little screen. It shows who we are, AM Best, great company, all that stuff. Then you'll pull it down, build some rapport with them. How long you lived in the area, your family's big family, where do you work, da, 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 da. After that, then what do? Then we have to explain to them why we are here. You guys remember that? Why we are here. Okay. And this is where you say to the client, you want to say, now, Joe, the reason that we are here today is that your president, John Smith, contracted through our company to make sure that you and all the other members have guaranteed permanent life benefits. The problem and concern that they're running into right now, your organization, the Steelworkers Local 784, plus there's over 30,000 other unions and organizations that we work and service. The problem that they're running into is that all the members of these organizations typically have group benefits. Now, Joe, when you work for a company, most companies give their employees workplace benefits, right? Well, at least most companies do. Say, yeah. I say, well, what typically happens to those benefits if you ever leave that company? Let's say you quit, get fired, or retire. What typically happens to those benefits, Joe? They go away. That's right. That's right. They go away. So, Joe, that was one of the biggest problems and concerns that they were running into. And that's why your president, John Smith, contracted through us to make sure that you and all the other members had their guaranteed permanent life benefits. So today, while I'm here, I'll make sure I go over all that information for you. And if it makes sense, we have to make sure that we get you enrolled into your permanent life benefits while we're out here today during your enrollment period. That makes sense, Joe? Okay, good, great. So the first video that they set up for you here, have you really never heard, I'll say, maybe even say something, you probably never heard of our company before. We don't do any advertising. You won't see us in a billboard or commercial anywhere out there, because our company doesn't spend, or let's say waste, any money on advertising. Now, those other companies probably see commercials, billboards, the Super Bowl is going to come on. You'll see critters crawling across the screen and all kind of different, commercials. Who do you think really pays for all those advertisements? There's billions of dollars being spent on advertisements every year. Who do you think's really paying for that? The clients, right? So our company, what they do, they take those billions of dollars that other companies waste and put it back into our programs and back into our members. So boom, when I press play and the video plays. And the introduction video plays. That gives you a chance to just chill out for a second. Right? Gather your thoughts. Like, okay, where do I got to go next? As soon as the video is done playing, I'm going to have to go in and explain their accidental death or dismemberment certificate or whatever that next step is. It gives you a chance to get yourself organized, composed, and get ready because you're about to go over all the no-cost benefits next. So that makes sense how that flows? Because then Drew on Thursday went over it. And just keep in mind, you have to make sure that you hit home with that, because at the end, you do not want them to tell you, I don't need this. And the reason they say that, and you say, well, why would you need it? And they're saying, because I already have this stuff through work. You're going to feel like, oh, what? How could you? So if you explain it to them up front, and I said to them, what happens when you quit, get fired, or retire, Joe? What happens to those benefits? And Joe goes to me, what? Well, you lose them. Wait, I didn't tell him he loses his benefits, did I? He told me he loses his benefits. Didn't he tell me? If he tells me, it's way better than me telling him. So at the end, they're not going to be giving you this, well, I don't need this because I already have stuff through work. No, we clearly went over this at the beginning, that the main reason that I'm here today is because you have stuff through work. That's why we're here. That's the problem. The stuff through work is the problem. That's why we're here. So they should never give you that rebuttal. Does that make sense? What's pretty cool. So you're almost using it like you're flipping it. So now, After that, Drew went over the no cost benefits. He went over to no cost. So, you know, with the no cost benefits, it's just a great opportunity to build value, to show that you're a professional, and to show that you care. They don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Sure, you built some rapport, which is great, and you're here to protect their family, right? How can you say you're here to protect your family? You care about protecting my family, but you never even asked me a question about my family, right? That's not adding up. So you got to make sure you build rapport. Make sure you ask them some questions about their family. If you meet with a grandparent, number one grandparent rule is what? If they're a grandparent, that means they have what? Grandkids. Number one rule is what?
That's not the grand.
Oh, you got any pictures? Do you have any pictures of the little guy? And of course they got pictures, right? Oh, could I see? And then make them get up. If you're on the Zoom, make them go get it. If I'm in their house, they get up. They'll go get it, or they'll have them on their mantle. I'll get up and I'll walk around their house with them. Like, oh, so this is the little one? He ain't even that little. He's big, 3 years old. Holy cow, man. You got to be proud of him, you know, whatever. And what you do, you got to think how proud a grandparent is of their grandkids. It's the joy of the world for them, man. Nothing makes their heart sing more than those grandkids, man. So if you can string a chord like that, and they can see it in your eyes and they can hear it in your voice that like you're actually feeling empathetic with them, you feel it, you know, and they can tell, that makes a big difference for these grandparents. So I'm telling you, there's 2 rules. You have to say, can I see a picture? And as soon as they say a picture, you got like, oh my gosh, how cute is that? What an adorable picture. Where were you guys at when you took that thing? That gotta just warm your heart, Sally. You know, so you gotta make sure that you have that empathy for them. And empathy, guys, is feeling the way that they feel. Like I had a guy that they called him Animal. And when he answered the door, he is pretty much what you would picture to be who Animal would be. He was a laborer. He lived on a trailer, and his parents had like 50 acres or 100 acres. So he had a trailer, his brother had a trailer, you know, and his parents had a house all the way in the back. So I show up at his place, and he answers the door with a wife beater on, okay? This is 3 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. I show up in my Chrysler 300 SRT8, blacked out, like I'm wearing a 3-piece suit, but I had just a vest on, okay? And I show up to this guy. So like, how you doing? He has tattoos all over him. He's huge. He's probably 6'4", 300 some pounds, just a monster. And tattoos all over him, big beard, long hair. And he answers the door, and you know, I forget what his name was. His name was Michael or something, you know, and I end up sitting down and meeting with this guy, but his nickname is Animal, and he literally is a laborer. And earlier in the day, he was running a jackhammer all day. I mean, that's who I was meeting. The guy, the big 300-pound guy on the side of the road with tattoos, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he ran the jackhammer. That's who I met with. So, but he was such a nice guy. He was so proud because his son did karate competitions, and his son jumped up in the air, did like a karate kick, like straight out of a movie. It was like picture perfect. He had a picture of it, and and the dad was holding the board, and the son was breaking the board, and he had a picture of it and the son's trophy. But he was telling me about it, and I could see how proud he was. And I was like, do you have a picture of this or something? He's like, I do. I'm like, oh, we got to see it. So then he takes me into the room, shows me the trophy, and he shows me the picture, and I could literally just see the joy pouring out of this man's heart, you know, about his son, you know, and the connection, like how, and I'm thinking like, how cool is it that the dad got to hold that and somebody got that moment captured in a picture, you know what I mean? Like and he could see that I felt the way he felt, and he knew it. And that was our instant connection right there. You know what I mean? That's empathy. That's something you can't almost teach. You can teach it to a certain degree, but you got to understand it to a deep level of really what you're connecting on. And it's like you can't even almost say words. Like you can say words to show you're empathetic, because you know what empathy is, guys? Empathy is I feel the way you feel. You know, I feel you. Like, so you can literally say that. You can say, I can understand how you feel. Or you can say, I feel you. I feel you, bro. Like when you say that kind of stuff, that means what? That means you're like, if they feel pain, you feel that pain, man. If they feel joy, you feel that joy. If you feel pride, you feel that pride. If they're worried, you feel their anxiety. You know, that's empathy. Now, there's other two things. There's called apathy. Apathy means what? You don't feel nothing at all. Apathy, I don't feel nothing. I'm apathetic towards it. I have no feelings. Apathy. Sympathy means you feel what? You feel bad for somebody. You know, you have sympathy for somebody means you feel bad for them. When you have empathy, you feel the way they feel. So the thing that most top salespeople have is empathy. Empathy. The ability to not only feel the way the clients feel, but to communicate that as well. Because Mason could be sitting here telling me about a situation that he's really proud about or he's really sad about, right? And I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I can feel the way he feels, man. I feel him, right? But I never communicate that to him. I never communicated to him, right? Or I don't communicate it properly to him, then it does no justice. So the key is you have to feel the way they feel and you have to communicate that to them and let them know. Like almost reach across the table, grab them on their arm and say, hey, man, I feel you, dude. I can definitely understand where you're coming from. You know, that's that connection, right? Key to that, and it's hard for us to do, but when I walk into somebody's home, I would always say, so Mary, would you like me to take my shoes off or should I keep them on? What would you prefer? My mom would kill me if I just stomped through your house. And she would, oh, you could keep them on. But I wasn't even talking to Mary, guys. I was talking to myself. It was a personal reminder, Tommy, that it's a metaphorical thing. Right now, it's time for you to take your shoes off and put their shoes on. What is it like to walk a mile in their shoes? And when you put their shoes on, metaphorically, I'm not putting a guy's work boots on, walking in his house. I'm not putting her stilettos on either. But you see what it's like to walk a mile in their shoes, and you visualize like, what's it like to come into a house like this, to wear those shoes, to go to that work, to drive that car, to eat dinner at this table, blah, 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 blah. You're able to relate to them a lot more. It's harder to do that on Zoom. So we have to be better at relating to people and putting ourselves in their shoes and painting a picture of what it's like to be them, So that's the advantage of going to the homes, but there's a lot of disadvantages to it as well. So anyways, guys, we could break for today. That was everything I wanted to cover with you. Great job on this week. You guys are doing great. You're doing phenomenal. Keep it up. By the end of next week, it'll all start making sense even more. Some stuff might not even make any sense right now, guys. Just keep with it. I promise, when you're saying your ABCs, we got to get all the way to Z before it makes sense. So right now you might only be halfway through the alphabet or something, but we'll help you connect the dots. And I think, by the end of next week, we'll be going into the 1st of February, right? By February 1st, you're going to feel pretty good with your presentation if you keep doing the reps. Then if you're able to get released get out on your own on your 1st, or maybe you can get out on your own on 8th, the 1st or the 8th, maybe mid-February, you're comfortable to do this on your own. Okay, we don't want to just send everybody out there who's not prepared. That could end up to get complaints from groups, and we could lose a whole organization because we had somebody call the steel workers, and now we got a complaint from the steel workers, and now they don't want to work with us. There was 5,000 people that we were servicing. So believe me, we're not here to just say, all right, hey man, your training is up. Good luck, man. Good luck. No, we can't afford to do that, and we won't do that. So we have to make sure that we're trained properly. Make sure that you guys go through the training checklist and you have everything checked off before you're able to get out there. So even if it's, 1st, 2nd week of February, when you're able to get out there really and do it comfortably enough, keep in mind, now we're going to still have to do 100 presentations. right? So, you're going to be looking at probably March, April, or May as your first 3 key months of your career, up until then. But great job so far this week. Like I said, proud of you guys, and have a good weekend. Definitely use the time over the weekend. Watch your foot on there to practice up. And if I could give you one reminder, you're going to get to the end of a presentation, guys. I promise you, when you say these words, it works. And what happens is the client's going to say yes. Okay. I promise you. And when they say yes, you're going to have to fill out an application. So practice these applications. If you have not practiced 2 applications a day this week, you are behind. You're like 8 presentations behind right now. So make them up over this weekend or something, but stick to 2 application e-apps a day. Make sure you fill those out. All right. Good job, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you on
You too, man.
Monday.
Well, I'm guessing it's everything that he said.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for like some keywords.
Well, let me see. Well, he didn't get back yet. Ashley, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I can't think of any.
That was a pretty solid video.
Okay. Well, we are putting all of these videos on YouTube on his channel. So if you want to go back to them, you can definitely check it out on YouTube. It's at the Vina Agency training class.
Okay, I'll write it down. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so that's basically it for right now. I think you guys are just done.
Okay,
Sure.
sounds good. Thank you.
How's the weather over there?
It's super nice. It's like, I think it's 90 today, honestly. It's getting really hot already.
Really? Oh man.
Oh yeah,
Can't wait for it to be hot over here.
it's 90 right now. The weekend, there's a high of 97 already.
Damn.
So it's a little hotter sooner than it should be, actually. It should be still in the 80s right now. So
Wow. So I'm guessing you're already using your AC, huh?
no, I don't think so, but it's hot in here. I don't know if you can tell, my face is getting a little red. I have my fan on, but it's not really helping.
Oh, I thought you were just blushing.
Oh, nope, I've been overly warm today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hot.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right. Well, Ashley, I think today was the last day for this. Is this your second week?
this is my first week.
Oh, first week. Okay. Yeah. So you guys still have another week of training.
Sounds
All right.
good. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, I'll be closing this the Zoom.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Straight. How we looking? Oh, you. Yeah, it should be. I don't think we have too many people.
I know there was like probably two. I know there was like Matt Watson. Or is this a new? No,
This is a new
another week. This is the second week, right?
Second one, yeah.
Another one. Colombian boy should be here. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name.
Marvin, you guys have anybody in training?
Yeah, Lynn.
Yeah.
Is it virtual?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but I kind of come back and go to.
No, I mean, they'll be on shortly, I guess.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Henry, new rule. If you go to Chick-fil-A, you have
Yeah,
to
dude.
get.
Like, what, come on.
You have to.
Hopefully I can see it clearly. That's pretty clear. What we should do, I hope it's mirror the video.
Like without this, it's like, right. Oh, because without the TikTok, it's like a lot.
What is it you trying to do?
Oh, we're good. Mirror the video. So that when I'm pointing over here, it looks like I'm pointing over here.
Oh, okay.
Not like-
So
So I can like, when I'm looking at myself, I know I'm pointing this way, not this way.
okay, yeah.
The other way would be reversed, I'd be pointing over here and it would look like.
Good catch, man. That's
I need this. Speaker thing.
What's up, Ashlyn? Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I can.
Okay. I'm over here typing an email. Give me 1 second.
Sounds good.
How was that working Women's Wednesday?
It was good. It was really nice.
Beautiful. Good. All right. Give everyone a couple minutes to hop in here. Okay. Here's somebody coming in. All right. I don't know if we got more than this, but we're going to do it like this here. All right, cool. All right, we're just gonna go with what we have today. As you guys can see, the topic we're gonna go over is the list of concerns. Okay, so the list of concerns is probably one of the most important parts of the whole presentation. This is where you're gonna get to show your expertise. You're gonna be able to break down the coverage for them. You're gonna be able to paint the picture and make life insurance real. Okay. I know I've told Ashlyn this many times and I say it all the time, but guys, life insurance, the product that we have for our members, it's not tangible. You cannot hold it in your hand. It is not a shovel. You cannot use it to go out and dig ditches, right? It's not a vacuum cleaner. The product that we have and that we're helping our members with is something that's, you know, it's a piece of paper, it's a feeling, it's an emotion, right? It's more built on what goes on up here than actually physical, right? The only time that they're ever going to have that money is if, God forbid, something happens to that person, right? So we have to figure out a way to make this tangible to them, to compare it to tangible things, right? The best way to do that as an agent and as a representative is to paint the picture of that family without one of their members. Paint the picture of that family if something catastrophic happens, right? Because that's the only way that they're really going to understand this, because it hasn't happened to them, right? Now, before I get into the list of concerns, I need to give you guys some background on why it exists, right? So first off, our company is 100% union label life insurance company, which means we don't advertise. We don't put money into advertising. We don't have any talking ducks. We don't have any discount double checks. We don't have any Geico catering, right? Our company only really represents union members. So we have a very strong niche market, right? Now, this comes back from when, you know, Mr. Rappaport started the company. He thought, would I be one of 1,000 companies representing 80% of people, or the one company that represents 20% of people. He took the one company route, right? So very, very niche market. Now, guys, what I'm getting at that is our programs are approved by the union president. So the union president of, like, say, the Teamsters, he sat down with our PR team and he approved our program for his members. Right? Now, do you guys know how a union president gets in power? Do you know how they get to that position? No? They're voted in. It's like a presidency. They're voted in to that position. So all the people in the union, all the union workers, they take a vote and they vote for who they think is going to do the best job for them and who's going to represent them as a people. Right? So would they vote for somebody who's putting bad programs in place for their families? Would they put a person in power as a president of a union if they were doing the wrong things for their members? And the answer is no, they wouldn't. Right? So and what I'm getting at is our union presidents, they're backing our programs. They're saying that, to telling their members that our programs are great for them. They're approving our programs, right? So there's already a built-in demographic with us. It's a great thing, right? Now, what I'm really getting at with that whole, union president thing is the fact that our company, we sit down with what's called a labor advisory board to make sure that our members have the best programs and all of our programs take care of their main concerns, right? So the labor advisory board is made up of 50 different union presidents, and all those presidents get together and they vote on programs for the union, right? So what I have here is the labor advisory board, right? There are 50 different presidents on this board here. As we go from DeMaurice Smith, who is the president of the NFL Players Association, right? We also have James Hoffa down here, who's the president of the Teamsters, right? In Chicago, the Teamsters are very, very famous. Jimmy Hoffa is a very, very famous person, okay? So, and there's union presidents from every single union on here. We got the international machinists and aerospace workers. We have roofers and allied water workers. We have geographical communication workers. There's a Screen Actors Guild on here as well, right? Police officers union, right? The other ones that are important up here are the president, the vice president, the chairman, and the CEO of the Labor Advisory Board, right? I don't know if you guys could see this or not, but Roger Smith and Steve Greer, they're the Steve Greer, who is the president of our company, is also the CEO of the Labor Advisory Board, right? So the Labor Advisory Board is a huge thing. It makes decisions for their members, right? Every union president has a say, and based on what they say and what they feel is best for their members, we put into our programs, right? So in the presentation, when we're going through the term versus whole, which Josh taught you guys on Monday, right? After we get down with the term versus whole, we should project ourselves as experts to them. At that point, once they feel that we're experts, once we've projected our knowledge to them, we're going to be able to break down their coverage and break down their unique situation, right? So the transition for going from term life to whole life, into the list of concerns is a pretty simple one, right? Especially if they're union members, right? It's typically, Mary and Joe, we've all gone through contract negotiations at work and benefit changes, right? I'm sure that you've gone through some of them too at work. And it always seems like we're, giving more and getting less, right? But You know, basically, you know, your labor advisory board, your list of union presidents came to us and they said that there's a bunch of concerns that their members had. And we broke that big list of concerns down to about 6 different areas. Okay. Now, each team does this pie chart differently, right? But it's all the same information. Okay. This pie chart or the list of concerns, there's 6 concerns, right? The first concern is making sure that our benefits are permanent and portable to that member. Right? So all of our programs are permanent and portable. What you basically you would say the biggest concern that our union members have is making sure that they keep their benefits once they leave work. The good thing about all of our programs is that they're all permanent and portable to you as an individual, not you as a union member. Right? So a lot of people think that they're going to get coverage here and they're like, oh man, it's going to stop when I stop working. Not the case. That's why we exist, guys. That's why our company exists. Because union presidents found out that they have great benefits through work, but once their members quit, fire, retire from their positions, those benefits go away. They don't get to keep them anymore. All right. So number 1 for the list of concerns is permanent and portable benefits. The number 2 list on the list of concerns, or what I would say is like Mary and Joe, the second area where a lot of our members had problems and concerns was final expense protection. So FE, final expense. All right. Now, for this part to be effective, you have to communicate with the member. You have to talk to them. You can't just project things to them and show them and then not get answers back. This part right here should be very back and forth with the member. You should talk to them here. Right? The more that they bring to light, the better you are able to help them out. Right? I will always tell people that statements don't sell, questions do. Right? So if you want to effectively help this person, you got to find out what they need. And the only way to find out what they need or what their concerns are is to ask the questions. Right? So the first question you're going to ask for final expense protection, Mary and Joe, do you know how much a funeral costs nowadays? And they're going to give you some different answers. You'll hear people say, oh yeah, 10 to 15,000. You'll also hear some people say 40,000. You hear some people say 5,000. Right? Whatever they say here, be like, yeah, that's pretty close. Pretty close. Nationwide average, guys, for a funeral is $10,000 to $15,000. That's nationwide average for a funeral. Cremation's a little bit cheaper. You know, cremation, you could probably get away with maybe 5 to 10. Right? But just like every year, everything becomes more expensive every year. Your milk, your eggs, your bread, your gas, right? The materials used to make this webcam right now, right? The materials used to make this whiteboard. Everything doubles in price after 20 years. That's standard inflation. Guys, inflation is like 3% a year. 3.000 something percent, right? So every single year, prices go at 3%. Over 20 years, that doubles the price. So what I typically do with our members here is I already know how old they are, right? I usually project out. I project back 20 years. So Mary and Joe, 20 years ago, the price for a funeral was probably about $5,000 to $10,000, right? Think about it. You guys are pretty young, so you probably might not have some insight on this, right? But 20 years ago, gas prices, I remember my parents paying $1.50, $1.25 a gallon. It's now $3. right? And in the 90s, it was $1, maybe $1, maybe 75 cents. But every 20 years, like I said, it's doubling. So what you want to do is you want to project back for them. So Mary and Joe, 20 years ago, funeral was probably about $5,000 to $10,000. Nowadays, it's about 10 to 15. And then 20 years down the road, we're looking at 20 to 30,000 for that same funeral. Now, guys, if they're in their 40s, 20 years only puts them at 60. The life expectancy for a human being, for a man, it's 79. For a woman, it's 83. Right? So if this person, if they're 20, if they're in this position, let's say that they're 41, that's how old they are. This only puts them at 61. That's not the end of their life, right? The end of their life is going to be another 20 years down the road. We're looking at 40 to 60,000 for final expenses down the road. Right? So if they're young, project out more. If they're in their 20s, project out another 20 years. I customize this to your members. It's going to make you look good. It's going to make you look like you're paying attention to them. Right? So having their age up here, say, Joe, right now you guys are 40 and 43 years old. 20 years prior, you guys were 20 and 23 years old. I don't know if you remember getting gas, but it was pretty cheap back then. But just like I said, every 20 years, the prices are doubling. And 20 years down the road, it's only going to put you at 61 years old. What they suggest to have and enforce for final expenses is about 20 to 30,000. Right? 20 more years is going to put you at 81, where life expectancy is at. And that's going to be about 40 to 60,000. Right? So this is actually the only area where our company and the needs analysis suggests you use whole life insurance to protect. Because a funeral is not an if. That's a when. Right? We're all guaranteed two things in life, guys. We're guaranteed death. You guys know the other one? No?
Taxes.
Taxes. Ashlyn's heard me say it in a presentation, so she knows, right? So death and taxes are the two guarantees in life. Now, I've seen people get around paying taxes. Never seen anybody cheat death, though. No one gets around it. Evel Knievel, maybe once or twice he cheated death, but at the end, he's dead now, right? He didn't die in an accident, but he did die. Right? So final expenses, typically the main thing that you're going to protect with whole life insurance, because that is a when. Right? When they pass away. Now, once I figure out kind of where what they're going to need coverage-wise here, I circle it. I say, so what it's going to typically recommend for your situation is about $40,000 to $60,000 of whole life insurance. And then once again, I ask them, do you guys have any questions on what it would recommend for final expenses for you? And then they say no. I say, okay. Now, but do you guys have any questions on final expenses? How to explain it, how to walk through it with them? Okay. All right. Now, the third concern, and this is how I would transition, or the next concern, or the third concern, is income protection. Making sure that if Joe or Mary does not come home from work tomorrow, that at least their paycheck does every single month. Right? So, IP, income protection. Now, at this point, typically what I do is I ask them how important their income is. I would say, Joe, if it's Joe and Mary, I would say, Joe, does Mary rely on your paycheck? And he would say yes. And I would say, Mary, Does Joe rely on your paycheck? And they would say yes. Right? You're going to run, but you will run into situations where one person's working, one person isn't. Right? Just still ask the question. Right? Because it's going to make sense to them. So Joe, you know, safe to say that if something happened to you and you didn't come home from work tomorrow, that your wife would still need your paycheck every single month, right? To pay for the house and keep the bills paid and the food on and the lights on the table, right? He would say, yeah. I would say, okay, so your paycheck's very important to the household. It's kind of like the lifeline of the house, right? So I would say it's safe to say, Mary and Joe, that if either one of you passed away, the paycheck from both of you guys is pretty important. Right? So typically what our company recommends is they recommend 3 to 5 years of their income be protected. 3 to 5 years. Because what that's going to do is give them 3 to 5 years of time to figure it out. The money's great. $200,000 is great. Right? $200,000 is never going to bring Joe back. But what it will do is it'll give Mary time to move forward without having to change too much really quickly. She won't have to adjust her lifestyle too quick because she has the paycheck coming in every single month. Right? So if you guys really want to think about it, our members' paychecks and their income is kind of like their lifeline. Right? You guys have seen a heartbeat, right? It goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it keeps going, right? I know it's pretty bad, but you get it. So that's kind of like what a paycheck is like too. Right? You guys think about it. So if the up spike, Joe gets paid here, he gets $800. Down spike, he got bills, right? You got to pay out $800. Up spike, he makes another $800. Down spike, he's got medical bills, something like that comes up. He has to pay $250, right? Up spike again, he's making money. Down spike, he's losing money, right? Your paycheck, this paycheck is kind of like his life. They're never going to be stagnant, right? It's always going to be up and down. It's going to have good days, it's going to have bad days. You're going to have good paychecks where you get a lot of money. You're going to have a lot of bills come in where you have to pay a lot of money. That's just how life works. Everybody's got bills, right? So why I'm getting at that is because if Joe doesn't come home and Joe dies, this is what his lifeline looks like then. Flatline. His heartbeat stopped. You know what else stopped? The paychecks. Right? No more paychecks coming in. It's a flat line. No more money for the family. Right? So his paycheck or her paycheck is really the lifeline of the family. If something happens and their paycheck is cut off, boom. It's a financial heart attack for that family. So what income protection does is it makes sure that if Joe does not come home from work, that every single month, $3,000 comes into the house for the next 5 years. All right. Now, to make this section real with them, just ask them questions. Right? So Joe, to make sure that, you know, the needs analysis accurately represents your situation, what do you guys usually bring home every month? Let's say Joe said $3,000. And let's just say Mary said $2,000. All right, so they make $5,000 as a family. That's not bad. That pays the bills, it keeps them floating, right? So if Joe gets paid $3,000 a month, we multiply that by 12 months, we're looking at, I don't know, $36,000 for the year, right? And Mary's over here making $24,000 for that year. All right. So if we multiply this by 5, so that's what, 600,000? No, I did math wrong. I'm so bad at math. 6 times 5 is 30. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 3 is 18. So 180,000. That's what I meant to say. There we go. $180,000. So what that means is Joe is $180,000 asset to that family. Over the next 5 years, no matter what, as long as Joe goes to work, that $180,000 is going to come into the family to help protect them, to help keep food on the table, to put money in the kids' pockets, to buy Mary new dresses, right? That $1,800, that $180,000 is going to come in. The only way it's not going to come in is if Joe doesn't come home from work. He's gone. So they need a replacement of $180,000 for Joe. Mary, right? Let's just say this is, I don't know, it's like 125,000. I know it's a little bit less than that, but just ease of numbers. Mary, same thing for you, Mary. If something happens to you, Mary, no matter what, you're going to bring in that 125 for the next 5 years. But if you don't come home, Mary, that 125 is gone too. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right, give me a second. Tommy needs the microphone and everything, guys, so give me a minute. I got to switch some things up. Give me 1 second. All right, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's probably not as clear, but we're gonna have to do it this way. It's okay. All right, you can hear me though still? All right, good. All right, so final or income protection. So we know Joe needs 180,000 and Mary needs 125,000. That represents 5 years of Mary's income and 5 years of Joe's income. It's pretty simple math. It's not too difficult to do. Whatever they make per month, multiply by 12, and then multiply by either 3 or 5. I usually do 5. Now, if they're younger, use 3. If they're old, if they're younger, use 5. If they're older, use 3. Right? But this is a visual representation of what they bring in. Guys, they know that they bring a paycheck into the house. They know that. Their wife knows that. The husband knows that the paycheck comes in on every other Friday. Right? They know that stuff. But what they don't typically know is how much it is, how much it does for the family, because they don't really see it every day. They just live their life. Does that make sense? So you got to bring it to life for them. Like, Mary, if you did die tomorrow, there's $125,000 that Joe's going to miss out on for the next, and the family's going to miss out on over the next 5 years. Joe, you're a $180,000 asset to this family. They might not treat you like it, right? But you're a $180,000 asset to the family. So with income protection, guys, you always want to just make sure you get what they make and then project it out 5 years. Income protection is pretty easy to kind of show them because it is a physical thing. They get a paycheck. They understand where that paycheck comes from. It comes from them going to work every day. Right? And they understand that if they don't go to work, Guess what doesn't come home? Paycheck, right? So income protection is pretty easy to kind of go over with that. Now, a lot of the times, guys, you're going to realize that a lot of the time people have coverage. People we sit down with have life insurance. And a lot of the time they have it and it's term, which isn't a bad thing. It's not bad, right? Now, if someone has coverage, let's just say that they don't have anything whole life wise, but they have a lot of term. Let's just say he has $500,000 of term coverage. Whoops. Right? So if I know he has 500,000, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend it. I'm going to say, Joe, it's great that you got that $5,000 or $500,000 of coverage there, but what that's going to go to is protecting your income. So if something happens, you know, Mary, she's going to, you know, use that for the next 10 years to pay off her income. And then they're going to ask me, wouldn't it pay for final expenses too? Theoretically, yes. But guys, here's what happens. Stay with me here. Ashlyn, I'm going to use you as an example. Let's just say, Ashlyn, me and you, we went down to 7-Eleven down the street and we needed to get milk, eggs, and bread. And it was like 15 bucks. And in my left pocket, I had a $20 bill. And in my right pocket, I had a $100 bill. Am I going to use the $20 bill or the $100 bill to pay for that?
The 20.
The 20, right? That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Why would you say the $20 bill though?
I don't know, I guess. Because it's closer to the right amount.
Okay. I mean, that's typically what most people say, just exactly what you said. It's typically the response you get, right? So the reason why you wouldn't use the $100 bill is because that if you use the 100, you have change, right? You're going to get 4 20s back and a $5 bill. What typically happens though when you break that 100? You end up spending it, right? It's not a $100 bill anymore. It's gone. You spend it, right? That's the same way that that's the same thing they're gonna do with their coverage, guys. If she takes this $500,000 policy and uses 30 of it to pay for the funeral, the rest of that money is just gonna go. It's gonna disappear. She's gonna buy things she doesn't need because it's already being spent, right? So that's why it recommends whole life insurance for the final expenses, and it recommends term or accidental to take care of the income. Right, that's called the $100 bill fear. Most people will be in that situation. They'll tell you $20 because they know how their mind works. If they have a $100 bill in their pocket, they're not breaking it. It's probably been in there for a while, right? That's the same way that it's going to work with their life insurance. So what I would recommend, even if they had $500,000 of term, I'd still recommend anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 of whole life insurance, because that term, number one, is eventually going to go away. And number two, if you do pass away and you have that term and you use it for the final expenses, the rest of it's just going to disappear too. And if you get them to agree to that, if you get them to say, yeah, usually I'll spend that 100, then they know that they're going to spend that. All right. Now, another very, very good way to pitch income protection to somebody is with what's called the ATM close, right? Now, this one is, you're not going to use this one a lot, but I just want to give it to you just so you have it. Let's say that in your basement, I'm just going to use Ashland again. In your basement, Ashland, you have an ATM machine, right? Now, there's 2 versions of the ATM machine you can get. You can get one of them that every single month it'll spit you out $4,000, no matter what. Like it'll as long as it's working, as long as it's operating, $4,000 is going to come out to you every single month. So that would be option A. Option B would be to have the same exact ATM machine, except it only spit out $3,500 every month. But it came with a warranty that said, even if it broke down that $3,500 is going to come out every month no matter what. So you have option B, an ATM machine with the warranty, you're going to get $500 less a month. Or you have option A with no warranty and you're going to get $4,000 a month. So would you choose vending, or would you choose ATM machine A or ATM machine B?
B.
You would take B, right? It's easy answer. You would take B. And then I would ask them, you know, even though, Ashlyn, you're getting $500 less a month, you would still take option B. Why?
Because the warranty.
Because of the warranty. Even though you're losing $500, that warranty is worth it to you, right? Because it's guaranteed to pay out. Well, hate to break the news to you, Ashlyn, but unfortunately, you can't just buy an ATM machine for your basement. You know, they don't really exist. But the good thing is too, is that you're the ATM machine of the house. If you really think about it, right? Every single month you're going to go to work and you're going to put $4,000 into the home, $4,000 in to come in, right? The only way it's not is if you're broken down. And if you're broken down, at least here, you know your family's going to get that $180,000. Even if you break down all the way to where you do pass away, all that money's still going to come out to your family. Right? You see how I'm comparing that person and their paycheck to an ATM? Right? The ATM is really good because people understand what an ATM does. It gives them money. It pulls money out for them. Right? They might not think of themselves as an ATM, but that's typically what they are for the house. It sucks to break down someone's life into just pushing money out, but typically, as a breadwinner and as an income earner, that's how it works. They don't get that $4,000 and it goes right to their bank account. That gets spent up, right? So income protection is a big area of where most people are going to need coverage. Just because they'll have coverage, guys. People will have coverage through work. That will be considered income protection. So if they have, you know, $200,000 of income protection through work, typically not going to argue with them. I'm just going to be like, you have what you need covered there at that point, and I'm going to go somewhere else, right? But if they only have, you know, $100,000 at work, and their need is $200,000, I'll show them $100,000 because there's a need there. All right. So there's a $100,000 need there. But if they don't have a need there, don't beat a dead horse, guys. Go on to the next thing. Does that make sense? Now, do you guys have any questions on income protection at all? No? All right, beautiful. All right, income protection. Okay. So the fourth concern that a lot of our members brought to our attention is mortgage protection. Now, I know you guys on the other team there, you use like debt, kids education on this side and mortgage protection on this side, but it doesn't matter. They're interchangeable. So MP's mortgage protection. This concern here, guys, is something that you really kind of don't really have to paint a huge picture for. They understand that they own a house. The only things you got to bring to light are the fact that they pay a mortgage, right? So I asked them a question here. I say, Mary and Joe, do you guys rent or do you own where you're at right now? And if they say own, I'm going to say, great. Is it paid off or do you still have a mortgage to the bank? And they'll probably say, I still have a mortgage. I would say, okay. So if something happens, you know, the bank actually owns the house, right? They get them to realize that if they have a mortgage, they don't own that house, the bank does. And until it's paid off, the bank owns the house. So if something happens and Joe doesn't come home, Mary still has to pay that mortgage. The bank's not going to go, oh my goodness, I know Joe passed away, so we're going to like lower the mortgage $1,000. You only got to pay $200 this month. Doesn't work like that, guys. I wish it did. A lot of people would have more houses. You know, the foreclosure rate wouldn't be as high. But unfortunately, that's the way it works. So typically a lot of our members want to have their whole mortgage paid off when they pass away. And if I asked Mary and Joe a question, I would say, Mary and Joe, do you guys rent or do you own? And if they say own, I would say, okay, fantastic. Is the house paid off, or do you guys still owe some money to the bank? And they go, no, we owe money to the bank. I'll say, okay, how much you got left on the house there? Let's say 150,000. I write it down. Whatever they say, I write it down and I visually represent it to them. That's what we should be taking away from this. Is every time they say something, every kind of dollar amount, we got to visually represent it to them. Right? This goes back to like old school sales and napkin math. When we were in the home with them, I would draw this circle out on a piece of paper and I would work it out with them right then and there. When we're on Zoom, Ashton, we have that PowerPoint pulled up. You can draw right on the screen with them right there. Right? But mortgage protection, like that $150,000, if something happens, the bank still wants this money. They're still going to ask you for that money every single month. They don't care that you passed away. What mortgage protection would do would make sure that if something happened to either you, Joe, or you, Mary, that $150,000 would come into the home and you could pay off the mortgage and it wouldn't be a concern anymore. Right? Now, if they rent, you could do the same thing. If they rent, they're like, no, I rent. Okay, well, what's your rent every single month? What are you guys paying rent a month? $1,000? Right? Multiply that by 12. It's $1,200. It's $12,000 a year. Right? And then I always project it out 5 years. I give them 5 years to live in that home. Right? So what I do is I take their rent, $1,000 a month, multiply it by a year. It's $12,000. Right? Multiply it by 5. We're looking at 60 grand, right? So over the next 5 years, you guys will have put $60,000 into rent for this house. This rent protection would make sure that if something happened to either you, Joe, or you, Mary, that you guys could pay off the rent and still live in the same house for the next 5 years and not have to worry about where the money's coming from to keep the food on the table and the lights on the table. So to keep the lights in the house and keep the house there so they don't have to actually move. You got to remember, guys, the biggest thing we're doing for this family is making sure that if someone in this family dies, that their whole lifestyle isn't changed. They can just live the way that they were living and not have to worry about anything. That's the biggest fear for people. When someone in our family dies, it's what's going to happen afterwards. Right? Because they were used to a certain lifestyle before. And if Joe's income is cut off or the mortgage has to be paid, that money's got to come from somewhere. If they had a big vacation plan and Joe dies, well, that vacation fund's going to get eaten up and it's going to go right to the mortgage protection or making sure that the bills are paid. Right? So they're taken away from things to provide other things. But mortgage protection is pretty easy to kind of convey to our members because it's a physical thing. They live in their home. They know where their home is. They understand about how important their house is. Right? So mortgage protection is pretty easy to go over with them. Just kind of ask them what they have to pay in mortgage, like what's left on the mortgage, and just go from there. And if they're renting, same thing. Ask them what they're making for rent and go from there. It's not too difficult. Do you guys have any questions on mortgage protection? No? Okay. And then the fifth concern is child education, debt, or any kind of legacy they want to leave behind. Right? So this one is kind of 3 different ones. And you can break it down per person, if that makes sense. Like use one per family. Like if you know that this is an older family and they don't have any kids right now, then don't even worry about the kids' education. Go into debt and legacy. Right? But if they have some young kids, 100%. Guys, if they have young kids and you do not talk about child education, you're missing the boat. Because to be honest with you guys,
All this stuff is great, but what parents really care about is bettering the next generation, bettering their next of kin, making sure that their kids can do things that they didn't do. Like when I've been doing this for 5 years, guys, when I break this down and I ask them a question and I ask them which is the most important, most of the time they say the kid's education. Even if they have no other life insurance to protect anything else on here, they make sure their kid's education is protected because they want to better the next generation. Right? So if they have kids, guys, and you're not talking about children's education, you're missing the boat. You're doing yourself and them a disservice. Right? So let's say in this instance, they have kids. They have 2 of them. Right? I'll make 2 little check marks. I'll say, Joe, Mary, you know school is expensive, right? You know how much it costs for a kid to go to school nowadays? Like a 4-year university? And they'll tell you something. They'll probably say any value from, $20,000 to $100,000. Right? Those are facts. That's what it costs to go to school. Ashton, you just graduated, right? What did it cost for you to go to school? What was your last semester?
I think it was like 10 grand a year because it was in state. So.
Mm-hmm. But still.
So 40.
$10,000 a year.
Yeah.
And were you living at the house?
No, I had my apartment.
You're on campus? Okay. So, and that's in state. Like I went to WVU, I went to West Virginia University, and I graduated in 2011. So 10 years ago, right? My last payment that I had to pay for everything, my last year, I believe was $22,000. 22 grand. It's a lot of money, right? And that was 10 years ago. So nowadays, the average, a 4-year university, about $100,000 per child, what they recommend. So what they recommend for you, Mary and Joe, is to set $100,000 aside for little Timmy and a little Sarah. Right? If they got 3 kids, project out 3 for $100,000. 4, same thing. Right? What I tell the parents here is I say, Mary and Joe, I'm sure you want your kids to go to school, right? And they'll say yes. And what I would say is, now, what we always say here at the company, Mary and Joe, is if you're not here, at least give your kids the opportunity. Let them go to trade school. Let them open up a business. Let them go to college. This $100,000 that they're setting aside for their kids to better themselves doesn't have to go to college education. It could go to open up a business, going to trade school, doing something. The fact of the matter is that if this family of 2 parents, if one of them passes away, the likelihood of this kid going to school gets cut in half. Right? So if in their family, they, over time, they have an 80% of their kids going to school. If one of their family members dies, if the husband dies, there's a 40% chance that kid goes to school. So not only is he hurting his current generation, he's hurting his future generation as well. Right? So kids' education is pretty easy. Break it down about $100,000 per kid. Debt. That's something you're going to have to talk to them about. I would say Mary and Joe, another big reason or another big area where members, found concern was protecting their debt, making sure that if they did pass away, that their loved one didn't incur that debt. Right? So, do you guys have any kind of crazy debt? You have any outstanding credit card debt? Any kind of student loans? Anything like that? And I can just break it down with them. So, Joe, what do you got? What do you got damage on your credit card left? Oh, 5,000, not too bad. Okay. And then you guys have any student loans left or anything like that? About 10,000 student loans. Okay. And then like car payments, things like that as well. You guys own the cars outright? No, you took out some loans for those too. Okay. You have about another 15,000 in loans for the cars. Right. Now, guys, when I'm talking about debt, I'm not talking about $200, $300, $400. I'm talking about thousands. Okay. So if they're like, oh yeah, my credit card's like $200 past due, it's nothing. It's nothing. But if they owe 80 grand on student loans, it's a different thing, right? So whatever their debt is, break it down and then total it up. So right now they got $30,000 in debt in this family. So if something happened to Joe, his estate is going to be positive 100,000 and negative 30,000. So really, he's only got 70,000 in his debt. So really, he's only got 70,000 positive in his estate because of that 30,000 in debt. All right, so this would protect that 30,000. And then legacy. Legacy would be if someone doesn't have debt, someone doesn't have kids, if someone just wants to leave money to their family. Right? So Mary and Joe, I know you guys don't have any kids yet, or any kids down, they're all out of the house, they're all taken care of. You guys have done great with debt. But with the other area where a lot of our members, have a concern is leaving something to their family down the road. Right? And I would always ask you guys a question, would you want to leave your family a liability, or would you want to leave your family a legacy? Right? Because if you die and you don't have life insurance, you're leaving your family a liability. Now, if you die and you have life insurance to protect everything you need and then some, you're leaving your family with a big legacy. They're going to use that money for other things. Right? Maybe the grandkids can go to school. Maybe they can, open up a nonprofit organization, or maybe, your kids can just take that family vacation you guys never got to go on. So legacy can be used for a lot of different things. And there's no real value amount to it. It's kind of just what they want to leave. All right, so you'll run into some people who are like, yeah, I'm covered, but you know what? I want to leave my family a little bit of extra money. That's legacy. Putting it down into the future. Right? So do you guys have, and keep in mind, like the kids' education, the debt, and the legacy, it's all interchangeable right there. So just kind of pick one avenue and go after it with them on that point. Most of the time, it's going to be kids' education, though. Okay. But do you guys have any questions on the fifth concern here? All right, beautiful. All right. Now the sixth concern, it's not up on the pie chart, but the sixth concern is affordability and being able to qualify for the benefits. Right? So the next step is to actually go into the qualifications and the affordability part. That would be the needs analysis. All right. But before we go into the needs analysis, Joe and Mary, they always make me ask you one question. And keep in mind, there's no right or wrong answer to this question. So Joe, if God forbid you did not come home from work tomorrow, and you could guarantee that either your final expenses, your income, your mortgage, or your kid's education was protected, what would you say is the most important to you? Right, and they would say something like, I don't know, income protection. Whatever they say, I circle. So Joe, you would say income protection. Why would you say income protection, Joe? And he would say something like, Jesus. He would say something like, because my paycheck's important, and my family would lose a lot of money, or the paycheck's very important, it pays for a lot of things, right? And then I would say, Joe, I know your paycheck's important, but what does your paycheck actually provide for the family? What I'm trying to do here, guys, is I'm trying to get them to sell themselves on why they need it. All right, so I'm asking them what is the most important, and then I'm letting them tell me and circling it. Then I'm asking them why it's important to them. So, but after I ask them why it's important, I don't stop there. I go another step deeper. He would say, my paycheck's important because, it brings money into the home. I would say, yes, it is very important. But what does that money that you bring into the home every single month do for the family? right? You see how I'm asking him to break down his paycheck on what he spends his paycheck on? Because in his mind, his paycheck is just his paycheck. But what I want him to get to realize is his paycheck pays for everything else. His paycheck keeps the phones paid. His paycheck keeps the lights on. His paychecks make sure the family can watch Netflix at night and make sure that they can eat the popcorn with the movies that they're watching. All that small stuff that he doesn't really think about on a day-to-day basis. That's what I want to bring to light. Because he remembers that small stuff. He remembers what the paycheck does for his family. And if I can bring that to light, then, and there's no protection there, then he knows he needs it. He sold himself. That's what we're getting them to do right here, is to sell themselves on why they need it. And I'm going to ask Mary the same question. And I don't ask them together. I ask them separately because I want to see what their answers are separately. I'll say, Mary, same question for you. If you died tomorrow and you didn't come home and you could guarantee that one of these was protected forever, what would you say is the most important to you? And she might say, kids' education. And I would say, okay, that's actually what most members say. Why would you say kids' education though? Well, I want my kids to go to school down the road and better themselves. Okay, but Mary, why is the kids going to school important to you though? What would that do for their futures? You see how I'm like guiding them to say the right things, guiding them to make their decision in their mind, right? So you have to ask them, Mary and Joe, if you died tomorrow and could protect any one of these, which one would you say is the most important? Why? And then why again? Right? Because you're getting them to sell themselves on why they need it. And then why this is important to circle these is because when you're working through the options with them, and if you have to minimize or reduce something down, take away the other things, but keep these two big things that they wanted on the policy. Because you're giving them what they want and what they need. Right? So, I mean, that's basically the list of concerns. And after you get done with that, after you get done with asking them the two questions, if something happened to you, Joe, who would you, which is the most important to you and why? You're going to transition right into the needs analysis. So you're going to go right from this slide here, right over, or, I know you guys do it on the whiteboard, but you're going to go from right there, right into the needs analysis. And in the needs analysis, it'll break down everything for them individually, right? And based on what it says, you can show them again what it recommends. That's why we do this, the long version here. So when those videos pop up, all I have to do is just reiterate to them, re-show them, hey, you remember when I was telling you about final expense protection and what it would bring up for you guys? So I want you guys to use this pie chart as like an active workspace for them. Like every single one of these should be different. And you should not just go through the motions when you're talking about the list of concerns. This has to be a point where you're coming from passion, right? Your voice inflection has to change here. You have to be up, you have to be down. You can't just be like, so the first concern is final expense protection. And what that recommends is $30,000 of whole life insurance in force. They're not going to pay attention to you, right? Especially with you doing it virtual, you're not in front of them. You got to be entertaining, right? It's going to set you aside from other people. Now, with the list of concerns, like I said, this is probably the most important section on here because you're getting them to sell themselves on why they need it, okay? But the list of concerns comes from, like I said, comes from our labor advisory board. It comes from real people. And every single year that these people have different concerns. So right now, these are the main concerns. These might change down the road. They probably won't, to be honest, because these are the 4 areas where most people use life insurance to protect as well. And if they're not in a union, that's how you can kind of convey this. Instead of saying, hey, your union set this up, you could say, now the main areas where most people use life insurance are final expenses, income, mortgage, and kids' education. Right? So instead of going the union route, if it's a child safe or a will kit, you can go this route with it. The 4 main areas where most people use life insurance. right? So, I mean, do you guys have any other questions on that at all? No?
Nope.
Okay. I mean, that's basically it. Usually we got more people in here and they're asking questions and I have to take some time to answer questions, but if you guys are good, that's basically it for me. I mean, my job is to go over the list of concerns and make sure you understand how to break it down for them. And keep in mind too, guys, if they do have coverage, let's say that they do have like 500,000 of term to protect their income, and that's what it would recommend for them. Cross it out for them, right? Make them feel good. Like, you guys did a phenomenal job. You got that $500,000 of coverage. You guys did a great job, right? But there's still 3 other areas where you need to cover. Visually show them that. Yes.
Everything you said, great. A lot of information, all how it's supposed to be, how to break it down, how to bring the emotions and things to it. I was in an appointment last night with Marvin, and one thing they did, basically they said they had a $200,000 20-year paid up, you know, and I don't know if it was a lie because they didn't even let us look at the policy, but that would have taken care of the housing, or not the house, the mortgage, not the more. I mean, what was it? The debt that they're in. They're about 300,000 in. They're 300,000 in debt. And I tried addressing the fact that, and I literally just searched it up on my phone because I was like, okay, so if they have State Farm, which is a cooperative company, it's going to take 8 months for them to pay out anything, which is an equivalent of 240 days. And I just searched it up on Google, but the bank only gives you 120 days until they actually put your house in foreclosure. So now there's another hole right there that, okay, even if you don't want to go with the $200,000 option, at least cover that hole during the 8 months before you get your 500,000 with 30 racks. So at least you could pay your mortgage until you get the rest of your money, because you're going to lose the house anyway.
Huge, huge.
I literally just searched it up and I looked. I'm like, okay, home foreclosure times 120 days, payouts for insurance 240 days. It's literally half of the time. So in half of the time, you're going to lose the house and you're still going to come up with $500,000, but now you don't have the house.
Dude, that is huge. What you're doing, that extra homework you're doing right now is huge, because you're gaining small inches that people aren't doing. And this is what I recommend all my team does. I make them have a notebook, and every single sit, they write down 3 things they did good, 3 things they did bad. And then if there's anything they didn't know, they write that down as well. And their homework the next day is to research that. So if they say, I have life insurance through Lincoln Heritage, and you don't know who Lincoln Heritage is, your job for the night, look them up. That's it. Right? So next time when they say they have Lincoln Heritage, you're like, oh, I'm familiar with what they do. They do this, this, and this. There's still a gap for this.
And remember, like
right?
I said, it takes 5-8 months for them to be able to blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's where we fill in the gaps. We're filling in gaps. That's another gap that, like, visually they don't see, because they see the 500,000 here and the 200,000 of their mortgage, and they just link it together. But no, there's a big hole in between of 8 months.
Yep. Well, I mean, 100%. Like, that's the beauty of doing this and representing it visually, is you can put in their exact numbers and show them what they have and how it's working for them. Now, you guys have to make sure that you're the expert, though. You have to project yourself as the expert, right? You guys are not experts yet. You'll get there. You'll get there. But you kind of just have to kind of fake it until you get to that point.
Fake it till you make it.
But knowing a good generalization of what they need most of the time is going to help you with that. It's going to make you look smarter. Because too, let's say that you do say it recommends 30,000 whole life, and it does recommend $500,000 of income protection, and then it recommends 150,000 of mortgage protection. Chances are, when you put all this information into the needs analysis, it's going to spit out these numbers anyway, right? And then you're going to look very smart to them. You're going to look like you know what you're doing. But if you don't project yourself as the expert, they're never going to believe it. That's why going through term and whole with them needs to be like done in a good, concise way, so they understand it. Even if they like. And I know Josh went over this, but it's always one thing I tell agents, like, even if they know life insurance, if they have life insurance, if they know about it, don't just assume that they know term and whole. Say, oh, I know that you have some basic knowledge, but they always make me go over this. term does this, whole life does this. But you can speed the explanation up a little bit, but don't ever skip it. Does that make sense? Because you're skipping what makes us unique as a company. What makes us unique is the fact that we break this down for them and we're actually individualizing it for the family. They're not just picking numbers from a page online. Like when most people get life insurance nowadays, guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but what they do is they go to a website, they type in numbers, they type in their age and their health, and then they pick numbers on a page. It says $500,000 of coverage for this amount of money, $400,000 for this amount of money. They don't know what that is. They just see a big number for a small number and they go with it. A lot of the time, it's policies that aren't going to help them. 10-year terms, 20-year terms is not right for them. But they don't have anybody that's speaking to them and showing them what they need and how it's going to work. They're just doing it on their own, right? And a lot of people you'll see think they have knowledge on life insurance because, oh, somebody told me about this. Well, that person that told them is probably wrong. They weren't an expert. They didn't go to a 7-hour class where they had to sit there and go over this stuff. They didn't go through a course online to get their license. You guys did that, right? They didn't do that stuff. They're not experts. Same way as if you guys go out to, this union member's, if he's a carpenter and you go to his house and the house he's building right now, you're not going to know what to do, right? You're in a different land. Same with him. He's in a different land of finances. You got to be the expert. You got to guide him through it, right? So even if I've definitely had this where people are like, man, I don't really even want to go through this. Well, I get that. I do. I get that. It might seem like a lot, but your union has this set up for you and me as your expert to walk you through it. So, I mean, it's really only just going to benefit you guys. And I would be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't show you what it would recommend for you. That's a great line to use on them. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't show you everything the union had set up for you. I would show you, it would be a disservice if I didn't show you everything that, the extra benefits could help your family out with. All right, so the list of concerns, guys, like I said, is many times, it's a very important part of the whole sales process. And there's a lot of little hidden things in here, like getting them to decide on what they want done, getting them to pick what's most important to them, getting them to sell themselves on it, right? And the main thing, what you should do is visually break it down for them. That's what I'm getting at. Visually representing their needs. Because at a lot of the time, like I said, life insurance is intangible. It's not anything they can hold in their hand. They have to see something that it's going to represent and take it away from them. Right? I'm showing them that, Joe, you're a $200,000 asset to your house, but I'm taking you away. I'm removing you from the situation. Now you have a $200,000 gap here. Right? But other than that, guys, do you have any other questions for me on anything? I'm here for you. I got another half an hour. No?
Okay, quick question. The line that would say that in 2005, George Bush stated that all insurance companies could take up to. Hello? Can you hear me now?
I can't. You're cutting in and out.
Huh.
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Did you hear me? All right, perfect.
I did.
So that line that we say, hey, can you hear me? Okay, good. So the line that we'd say, George Bush stated in 2005 that all insurance companies could take up to 8 months. I tried searching it up online and I can't find anywhere where to, because I had somebody show me, like a long time ago, somebody actually had me show me where does it say it. And I tried looking for it, I can't find it.
What I missed the first part of that, what you said.
The line where we say all insurance companies could take up to 8 months to pay off a death benefit because George Bush in 2005 stated it and passed a law stating that.
Yeah.
Where do I find it?
Look up the Pension Protection Act. Pension Protection Act.
Pension Protection Act of 2006, right?
Mm-hmm.
strength protections for workers' own pensions benefits. It greatly increases the amount that a workers can contribute to retirement plans. It makes possible to directly convert 401ks to 403b and 457 plan access. Okay, so I'm gonna have to read the whole article then. Pension
Yeah,
Protection
in there it
Act.
states that life insurance companies have a certain amount of time to pay out their members. Before that, there wasn't really anything in place. And a lot of people lost a lot of money when the stock market went down and Enron and all those big corporations shut down. A lot of people lost a lot of their life insurance.
They can't pay those insurance companies can't pay it up because if they're cooperative, that means that they work with the stock market, and if the stock market is down, they are down. That's why we as American
That's another
Income are a
reason why,
non-cooperative company.
Correct.
That's why we have a big bucket where all the money goes to.
Exactly. There's no competition with our company. We don't put any money into stocks or investments or anything like that, so that we can guarantee a 4.5% rate of growth, right? And we're also, that's how we pay out our claims quickly too, because we don't have to go, like, you got to think about this. If you have a company like, let's just say State Farm, and they have a universal policy that's invested somewhere, and they're actively making money on those investments, are they just going to give you your money right back if they're making money on your money? Hell no.
They have to
It's like if
sell
I
it.
borrowed $20 from you and every single day I made $1 on that $20, how long would it take me to pay you back? Until I have my own 20 at least, right? So that's the way most companies think. They're using your money to make money for themselves. So they're not just going to give you your money back. They're going to use that whole time to get more money so that they can pay you your money without a loss.
And you know what the process of it is?
We don't have to worry about that.
I
All of
worked
our
at
money is
a
in a big pot.
yeah.
In fact,
that's
if
true.
all of our members died tomorrow, we could pay every single claim out and then still open up our doors the next day.
That's crazy.
So one big thing about our company is that it's huge.
That is huge. Another thing that I got explained before, because I did work at American Income before. So when a cooperative company has to pay out their benefit, let's say that you have $200,000 worth of your benefit, and then they're gonna take up to 8 months to pay it out, but you're gonna reach to them to get your money. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna call you in for an appointment, and you're gonna sit down in an office with a financial advisor, which is gonna say, okay, we're gonna give you $50,000 or $20,000, this amount every month, and then with the remaining balance, you're gonna talk to our financial advisor so you could invest it within the company itself. And then you're gonna deny that claim. You're gonna deny that claim. You're gonna deny it. They're gonna say, no, I don't want to invest my money. I don't want to invest my money. And it's gonna take 8 months for them to say, okay, here's your money. They want you to invest it within the company with their financial advisors, so you don't make any bad decisions with that much money.
Exactly.
That's a big
other
thing
big
that
thing
they explain, man. I'm like, wow,
is
that's bogus.
Yeah, another thing about work coverage is the fact that that company, when they get work coverage for their members, they buy it before tax money. They use pre-tax dollars to buy that, right?
Which
so that when it
means
comes out
that
to
you
the member,
will be taxed.
they get taxed on it. They get taxed on it when they make that claim. So number one, they got to make a claim.
Question.
Number two, they lose money. So it's not 150,000. You might be getting 130,000. Right? So you're right. There's a lot of hidden things with work coverage, and that's why our company exists. So they don't have to rely on work coverage. They can keep us low, union negotiated rates, whole life insurance, keep it flat and level for you. You could build on it down the road, So yeah, I mean, all those small little things that you learn from the other agency are huge, huge, man.
Now, another person asked me, so you guys put all the money into a bucket. Everybody puts their money into a bucket. Every single person puts money into a bucket. Now, how does the company make money? If you guys are not investing money into the stock market and you guys are giving back the money that people put into their policies because it's in a big bucket and it's not growing, how does the company make money? I had somebody ask me that, like, okay, so how does American Income make money then? If you guys are giving back the money they put in the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, their money is safely invested. It safely goes somewhere. It's not just like out in some crazy investments. It safely grows at 4.5%. That's why we can keep everything together. And when we keep it all together, we can invest more of it in a big lump sum so that more of it comes in. See what I'm saying?
And that's where the question came in, because I explained them. So your money grows at 4.5% interest, right? And they're like, okay, but if you guys are a non-cooperative company, where are you investing that money? Well, how is it growing? You know, like if it's not in the stock market, where is it at?
To grow. It's growing. I wouldn't even tell them to worry about it.
It grows.
Grows.
Yeah, I know. It just grows.
All right. I mean, you guys have any other questions for me at all? I got a bunch of calls I gotta make back here. But yeah, so other than that, guys, I know you guys are running with some people today. You got some stuff with Thomas later today. Are you out in the field today too? Lee? Yeah.
Me? Oh, I have gastric problems, and I woke up really, really, really sick today. Like my breakfast, I threw it up. Lunch, I haven't even had lunch yet because I'm scared of throwing it up. And I have to call up, make an appointment with my gastroenterologist and stuff. I don't know why I woke up like this today, but yeah, I'm feeling like crap.
Well, I appreciate you sticking it out with me here today, man, and learning some things. Okay, good. Well, get better, man. And Ashlyn, have some fun with Tommy tonight. Get ready. You're presenting some of the presentation, right?
Yep.
I know you weren't ready yesterday, but you're definitely doing it today. So no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right. But other than that, guys, you guys both have my number. Shoot me a phone call if you need anything. Text, call. I'm here for you. Okay. It's a pleasure getting to hang out with you today.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Gave everybody an opportunity that was going to be in here to be in here. So first off, I always like to kind of introduce myself, just because I know always training class, there's always people that I don't have, in my individual training. So I want to make sure that you guys understand who I am. It's just you, Hayden. So Ashlyn I work with every day, so she knows who I am. But Hayden, just so you know, my name is Drew, one of our GAs. I've been with Mr. Vina for the last 5 years of my life. Worked with him in Pittsburgh, went out to Philly with him. And there's definitely no other person in this agency in the industry I'd rather follow anywhere. So just a little background. I'm from Pittsburgh myself. Because I've been with us for about 5 years now. I've been a GA for the last year. Once we start building up our team here with Ashlyn and a lot of the girls leaders bringing in, should be an MGA here very shortly. But today, what we're going to do is, like I said, go over all of the no cost benefits that are associated with our company. Okay. Awesome. So the first thing I want you guys to realize about the no cost benefits is that you're not going to get paid to be a no cost delivery person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If they don't, purchase additional life insurance, then that's kind of how we make our money, right? You're not helping that person, right? You're still getting them, the benefits they need that they signed up for, especially if they're union members, right? But at the end of the day, you got to remember, like, the no cost benefits are there for a reason. They're not there so you can just go and drop them off and be friendly with you, right? The no cost benefits, they're there and they're designed to build up our company, to give the member something extra, right? Because remember, they buy you, then they buy the company, then they buy the product, right? So we're in the stage right now of them buying the company. We're building the company up, why we're important, why we exist, why there's no other company like us, right? So the other thing I want you to know right up front with no cost benefits is that not every member is going to get every single no cost benefit. Okay. So, and this is kind of up to you guys as the agents, right? So if I'm sitting down with a union member, I'll typically go over, the child safety kits, the AIL Plus card, the family information guide, and then I'll go over their group accidental policy, right? So, that was for no cost benefits, right? Sometimes if they're older, I might go over the will kit with them as well, right? Or if they don't have kids, if I know that they don't have kids in rapport and I'm barking up the wrong tree there, I don't even go over the child safe, right? But you can custom. What I'm getting at is you can customize these no cost benefits to that member, right? So as you're building rapport, use the stuff you're finding out in rapport to kind of move you forward in the presentation, if that makes sense. Right? So I want you guys to write down 3 things. So there's 3 things we're going to do with every single one of the no cost benefits. Okay. First thing we're going to do, we're going to make the benefit important, explain its importance, why it exists, why we developed it. All right. So introducing the benefit. Second thing you're going to do with every single benefit is you're going to walk the member through it, how it works, using them as an example. Right? You want to use them as an example because we're not just talking about a generic family. I'm talking about your family, Mary and Joe. We got to paint the picture for them. Right? And then the third thing we're going to do with every single one of the benefits is we're going to collect referrals. Right? This will be the most important thing on there. We just got off of a manager's call with, a state director in California, and he said that his guys are on referrals. They're one of the biggest things about this business. I know that when we do our hiring process, I tell a lot of people that there's 2, cheat codes to this business, right? Recruiting and referrals, right? You have to take the long way around. There's no shortcut here, but recruiting and referrals, they'll make you run faster and jump higher along that long path, right? So collective referrals is a big thing, and I'm going to go over a lot of that today too. So, but you guys don't hesitate. If you got questions, let me know. It's just you two. Okay. So if you do have questions, let me know. I'll stop. We'll go over them. I'll address them. If not, let me kind of fly through it and we'll be out of here pretty quick. Okay. So the first no cost benefit that I usually go over with every single one of our members is the child safety kits. Okay. So I'm going to pull up my slide here and you should be able to see it. Can you see the slideshow, Ashlyn?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's Corey right here. There we go. Another person here. There we go. You got it on the screen there, Corey?
Perfect. Yep, good. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Okay, good. I knew we were missing like 1 or 2 more people.
Yeah, we got Lynn in here as well.
All right, cool.
Hey, if I just sign him in on the being an agency again, it won't kick you off, right?
It will kick me off.
Okay, because I've signed in twice before. I didn't know if it would. That way I can put it on the screen, but it's all good. They can just watch this laptop. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, if they have like screen sharing on the laptop, they can just like wirelessly send it to that TV.
Yeah. Let me see.
Is it a Windows?
Yeah, I'll try for him real quick. Get me out of this.
It's called like the what is it called?
I gotcha. Nearby sharing.
Yeah. Or it would be called Connect.
Oh wait. Ha. Let's see.
You got it?
It's searching. It's a searching. Maybe I should unshare the Apple one. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Got it? Here we go.
Yes, we have it. Yes, Drew, you can go ahead and continue. Sorry for interrupting, bro.
No, you're good. I got you on set up and ready to go. I didn't really even start yet. I just did the introduction, so we're okay. All right, good. So glad you guys can all see the screen on the TV there, so it's good. But the first no cost benefit that I typically go over with every single one of our members, and there's no right or wrong way to go through the order of these no cost benefits. But typically when I do the no cost benefits, I usually go from least intrusive to most intrusive, or, least about life insurance to most about life insurance, right? Just because it gives them a good steady path that we're walking down. We're not like throwing them one way and then going another way, Like we're still guiding them through this whole process, right? So the child safety kits are a great way to kind of start the no cost benefits, right? And the transition between each benefit should just be the same, basically, 5 words. The next benefit they have set up for you, right? Maybe 6. The next benefit they have set up for you, the third benefit they have set up for you, they, right? Not saying, hey, this cool benefit I have set up for you. No, put it on put it on the system. I'm telling you guys, it's going to make your job easier if you put everything onto the system. I'm not asking for referrals. The police and firefighters are, right? So they can't say they enough, right? So the first benefit that they had set up for you, and they could be anybody, guys. They could be their union. They could be the person that sponsored them into the benefits, right? That's why I use they. It's ambiguous, right? So the first benefit is the child safety kits, right? So number one, we got to explain this to them. We got to make it real to them. We got to give them a reason why we're going over this, right? So I like to use a lot of stats up front. So the way I start every single child safety kit, though, is the same way. Mary and Joe, I'm sure you guys know some people with kids, right? And they'll say, yeah, I know some people with kids. Okay. Or if you know through rapport that they have a bunch of kids or they have a couple kids, right? You're going to say, Mary and Joe, I know you guys have some kids yourselves. You're going to love this first benefit they have set up for you. And so the first benefit is the child safe ID kits. Okay. So the child safe ID kits, first off, guys, there's a seal right on the front of it. It's endorsed by the International Police Associations, right? So this is like a real thing, right? Now, I usually show them that. I say, now this is endorsed by the Police and Teachers Associations. And I tell them it's their national campaign to get as many of these child safety kits out to the community as possible, right? So the reason why these kits exist is just alone last year, 500,000 children went missing or got abducted. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of kids. That's 500,000 kids, right? And that's not even the worst fact of that. The worst fact of that is that if those kids don't come home in the first 24 hours, 94% of the time or 93% of the time, they don't come home at all. So like 93% of the time, they don't come home. Like if that kid does not get home in the first 24 hours, they don't come home. That's a scary, scary stat, right? Now, I don't know if anybody on this call has kids, right? But if you do have kids, use that to your advantage, right? You're a parent. You've gone through things like this, right? After I get done telling them that 250,000 children go missing or get abducted, and I tell them that 93% of the time that if they don't come home in the first 24 hours, they don't come home. I have them guess which, like, ranking wise Illinois is. Like for child abductions, top 10 in America, Illinois ranks number 9. They're top 10 for child abductions, which is crazy because that's where we live at. That's where our kids play at. That's where kids grow up at, right? So that stat right there is going to get a lot of people to kind of pay attention to you, especially if they're in Illinois. They understand this stuff, especially if they're in the city of Chicago. They definitely know this stuff exists, right? So letting them know 500,000, kids go missing or abducted, 93% of the time they don't come home in the first 24 hours. They don't come home at all. Letting them know that, that Illinois is number 9 for child abductions every single year, right? And letting them know the main reason why we developed this kit is because it takes the sharpest parent or grandparent anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to give the police the information they need. So they have to look through every piece of paper in the house. They don't have the DNA sample handy. They don't have fingerprints handy. They got to go find a photo of the kid. They don't have all their blood type, their medications, things like that. So they got to spend time to find this stuff. Right? So we designed this kit so that they keep everything together so that if God forbid something does happen, all they do is they give this kit to the police and then the search gets started right then and there. Right? There's no like waiting period. Like you don't have to wait 24 hours to report a missing child. Right? Now the Amber Alert comes out after 24 hours, right? But they're reported as soon as that time comes. And a lot of the time that reporting, that beginning reporting is just the police finding information about their kid, what they look like, how tall they are, how much they weigh, what their hair color looks like. You know, all of that those small things we take for granted because we can see their kids every day. In that situation to where your kid's not there anymore, you're panicking. You're not thinking height, weight, eye color, hair color. You're thinking, oh my God, where are they at? Where could they be at? Why aren't they answering their cell phone? Right? So I don't know if anyone has been a parent in this situation, but I can remember, you know, going into the department stores with my mom, right? Walking through the store and 30 seconds, as soon as I get in that store, guess where I'm going? I'm going to play hide and seek, right? I'm going to go hang out in those clothes, those big circle clothes racks and hang out in the center of them. Right? Now, that's a very scary situation for a parent, not knowing where your kid is. It might be 2 seconds, it might be 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes could seem like 2 hours, right? Because they don't know what's going on, especially the way today is. Right? There's people out there snatching kids like it is their job, you know, especially with 500,000 going missing and getting abducted every single year. It's crazy. Right. So, I mean, if you think about that, that's like, I don't know, 2,000 a day. Right. It's insane. So once I get that done with them, I explain, you know, why we developed the program, why we developed the child safety kits. I'm going to walk them through how it works. All right. So I'm going to go, Mary and Joe, what's one of your kids' names, for example? I want to know what the kid's name is. Right. If they have nieces or nephews, I want to know what the nieces or nephew's name is because I want to make this real to them. All right. So if I go Mary and Joe, which one of your kids' names, for example? And they're like, Steve. I'm like, okay, great. What you're going to do is you're going to put Steve's name on the front here. Oh, sorry. You're going to put Steve's name on the front here and then the date it was completed on. Right. Then I click the next slide and I flip right into what the inside of the child safety kit looks like. And basically I just walk them through number 1 through number 4. Number 1 is personal information. So anything that's going to change, like your height, your weight, your eye color, your hair color, that stuff will go in pencil. That way the parents can erase it and change it down the road. Anything that's going to be permanent, like the date of birth, the name, blood type, medication, social, allergies, that type of thing, put that in pen, right? Because it's going to be permanent. You don't have to erase it. Number 2 is a physical description of Steve, right? So anything that makes Steve unique, glasses, braces, scars, birthmarks, right? Anything like that, you mark it on the character here and then write it down on a little piece of paper, a little tab next to it, right? And I always kind of joke here with parents sometimes and say, like, you know, if you have a little boy and he's older than 8 and he doesn't have any scars, is he really a little boy then? Right? Because I mean, I grew up with 5 brothers. I got scars all over my body. Right? If I take my glasses off, I got a big scar right here underneath my eyeball. I got one underneath my chin. Right? All from things that I did as a kid. And, you know, I've given my brothers stitches and scars. Right? I got it as much as I gave it. But I just throw a little joke in there just to keep them entertained. Right? So number 3 would be a DNA sample, right? And I throw another little joke in here too. This is one that I would advise you guys to use, right? I always say Mary and Joe. Now I'm sure little Steven's really never bad around you, right? If you say it like that, they're gonna be like, yeah, he's never bad, right? Real sarcastic, they'll say it back. Yeah, he's never bad, man. Or they'll laugh, they'll chuckle, right? Because kids are kids. They're going to get on their parents' nerves. It happens, right? It might just be that day where a parent's not having a good day and the kid says something that they normally say anyway, and the parent just kind of goes off, right? We've all probably been in those situations. So what I tell them, I say, next time your kid's being bad, next time Steve's being bad, instead of grabbing his whole head of hair, right? Just pluck out 1 or 2 hairs, and then you could tape those hairs down for a DNA sample, right? So hair follicles, they have DNA. You have to pull it from the root, though. You can't just cut it. There's no DNA in like a strand of hair. It's in the follicle in the root, right? They can use that, or they can use the fingernails. Fingernails have DNA in it as well, right? But I know some people and kids, especially a lot of kids, they chew their fingernails. I did it when I was a kid too. So they might not have fingernails accessible for that, but just know that hair works the best by far for that. And they need to keep the DNA sample updated about every 6 to 8 months. Every 6 to 8 months, got to get a new piece of DNA. Right? So number 4 on the child safety kit is the fingerprint information. Right? So each one of these kits comes with a police grade ink strip. Right? Now, what that means is this ink strip is permanent ink, police grade. So if it gets on your walls, your furniture, your table, your clothes, the floor, not coming off. But if it gets on the kid's hands, it gets on their face, it gets on their body, it'll come off with soap and water. There's oil in our skins that's designed to make sure the ink, like stuff like that, does not come on, or that does come off. So the ink in the child safety kit, it is permanent police grade ink, but it's non-toxic. Never going to harm them. They could eat the ink strip if they wanted to, right? Wouldn't advise parents telling kids to do that, but you get where I'm going with that, okay? So each one of the strips does have enough ink to do 2 or 3 kids' hands, but each one of the kits comes with its own strip, so you don't have to like reuse the ink. And it's pretty simple. The ink itself, you don't have to press very hard. You don't have to roll your finger on there. All you basically got to do is touch each finger and put it on the corresponding spot. It's pretty simple, right? But I do tell parents with younger kids, typically ages, 3 to 9 or 3 to 10, to do this outside or before bath time, just because those kids are nonstop. I don't know if you guys have kids. I have nieces and nephews that once they get their fingers in something sticky, it's on everything else. That's just the way kids are. They just don't feel gross and stickiness. I don't know what it is. I don't know when that develops in their body, but I couldn't walk around with jelly on my fingers all day long. But I know my nephew could. He does it every day, right? So you don't even care. So make sure, like, one little quick tip, like I said, before bath time or outside, keep it easy on them. All right. Now, do you guys have any questions about the inside of the child safety kit at all? How to explain it, how to walk through with it? Pretty simple, right? Okay. Once I get done with that part there, all I do is go back to the previous slide, and then I go over number 5. I say, okay, now number 5 would be where you would put a photo of Steven, right? So the police and firefighters, they don't want any kind of kids in the background of the photo. They just want a headshot of Steven. So usually a school photo works the best. It's usually an HD photo, and it's usually updated every year, right? If they're not in school yet, I'm sure they have a million photos of their kids lying around, guys. I know they do, right? I got 1,000 photos of my nieces and nephews, and they're not even my kids, right? So, and they're scattered through my mom's house. They're all over the place. Like I'm here right now in my mom's house, and there she has a table downstairs, like a glass table with pictures, and they're all grandkids, right? There's none of us are in there anymore. She took all us out and put all the grandkids in, right? But that's what I'm saying about pictures. People have them. They're accessible, right? Cut one out, tape it down. That way, if something happens, the police know what they're looking for, right? And then you're going to put the age of the photo and the date the photo was taken in there, right? Now, the middle section here, important tips for parents, right? I kind of mold this to the member who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone who has grandkids, I usually typically don't walk them through this because they've been through this. They understand how to raise kids. They've done it. Now, if you're talking to a new parent, someone who has 2 or 3 kids and they're really young, yeah, definitely walk them through these. Say, no, number 1, teaching your kids how to call 911. 2, teaching your kids about stranger danger. The one I usually go over every time with a lot of people is making sure that number 3 does not have it. They do not put the name of the kid's name on their backpack or a jacket or a lunchbox or something like that. We got to remember the reason why I go over this is because sometimes teachers and school administrators, they want the kids to have like identifying marks on them, because you got to think that this teacher deals with 30 kids every single day, 30 backpacks, 30 lunch boxes, 30 jackets, and they got to go in a cubby or on a hook on the wall or something like that, right? So in order for the teacher to be organized and to get everything ready, they need to have names on it or something, and they kind of request that. It's not the greatest thing to do. I would recommend either a colored piece of tape, a sticker, or like the initials of the child. Only main reason is because if, let's say, little Timmy is leaving school and he's walking to the spot where his mom normally picks him up at, and Timmy's walking by and saying, it's a great day. I got out of school. It's Friday. I can't wait to see my mom. Right? Timmy's walking down the street and a random guy says, Timmy, come over here. Your mom told me to pick you up from school today. I'm going to take you back home. We're going to go get ice cream first, though. Come on, let's go. Timmy's 5 years old. Do you think Timmy's going to walk in that car and get ice cream with that guy he doesn't know? Probably. Because he knows his name. And all it took was him to glance at the backpack for 2 seconds. So it has really serious implications. So that's kind of why I go over it every time. It's nothing to like kind of browse over. It does have very serious implications, and a lot of people, really sick people, use that to their advantage. So my suggestion, once again, a colored piece of tape, initials, or like a sticker or something like that. Okay. And then the other ones down there, teaching the kids what to do in a public place if they're separated, and know where your child is at all times. I mean, that's almost impossible, but as parents, they like to think that they can know everything at all times, right? Now, once I've explained everything on the kits, I ask them, I wrap it up. I say, Mary and Joe, do you guys have any questions on how the child safety kits would work at all? And they're going to go, no, we don't. You explained it well. Okay, perfect. Right. Now, what I would tell them, I say, now, Mary and Joe, once you complete this, once you fill out all the information, what you're going to do is you're going to keep it in a safe spot, either the freezer or like a lockbox or a safe or something like that. Okay. Because if something happens, you need to find it very rapidly. And why I tell them to put it in the freezer is for 3 reasons. Number 1, it preserves DNA longer. I'm sure you guys have all seen Cold Case Files or CSI or one of those shows where the DNA is frozen longer, right? And they catch the criminal because it was frozen for 12 months, not 6 weeks, right? It preserves DNA more, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, if God forbid the house burns down, something happens, there's a fire, the freezer is usually the last thing that's still there, right? And then the third thing, it's visual recognition. It's, I'm in the freezer and in the fridge every single day. I'm sure you guys are too. Multiple times a day, you're opening that fridge and freezer, right? Hoping that when you open it, that things in there change, right? It's not the case though, right? But if they're opening the freezer every day and they see that child safety kit sitting on, right next to a bag of peas, and they see it every single day, if something happens, they're going to remember, oh, I know where that kid is. It's right next to the peas. Let's go get it. Right? So it's just visual recognition of seeing something every single day that you know where it's at. Right? So once I get kind of get that done with them, I go over the most important part of the child safety kits, collecting referrals and getting these out to many other people. Right? So first thing I do is I make sure I get their phone in their hands. That's the most important thing about collecting referrals from them here, is getting their phone in their hands, right? So Mary and Joe, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to grab your cell phone. Do you have your cell phone handy? Guys, they always have their cell phone handy. It's usually right next to them. They don't have to go very far. They might even be on their cell phone during a meeting, right? So go ahead and do me a favor, Mary and Joe. Go ahead and grab your cell phone really quickly. All right. This does two things, guys. Subconsciously, this builds control. This gets them to start doing things for you, right? This gets them to work with you. This gets them to be a part of the presentation. Does that make sense? So they're interacting here. And the main reason why we want to do this is because they know people with kids. But if I asked you guys how many phone numbers you knew off the top of your head, you'd probably tell me one or two, right? That's just the way phones work now. I remember when I was a kid, we had to dial up. You know, I remember making phone calls to my friends before there was area codes. You didn't have to put an area code in. You just put 7 numbers in, or 7 numbers in, right? Now, area codes and cell phones. I know 2 people's phone numbers probably, and it's probably my mom and my brother because their numbers are one above me and one below me, right? So they know people. They just don't know people off the top of their head. So they got to have their cell phone in their hands. So we're getting them to do things for us, building control, and we're getting them to grab their cell phone because that's where the referrals are, right? So Mary and Joe, do me a favor. You know, I got some really important information I need you to put into your cell phone. What I need you to do is I need you to open up a contact and save it as Child Safety Kits or Child Safe ID. And then I want you to save this number as well. It's a 1-800-742-6783. And Mary, what you're going to do is if, you know, you lose these kits, if you damage them, if they are, you know, unable to be read because of, you know, you changing them and updating them, all you have to do is call that 1-800 number there, Mary, and you'll get more kits delivered to you for free. Right? Now, once I get done with that, now I'm transitioning right into grabbing referrals, right? Now, referrals with Child Safe, they're going to be typically the bulk of where you get your referrals at. Right? You're typically going to get more Child Safe referrals than anything else. Mainly because there's a lot of kids out there. There's a lot of parents with young kids, a lot of families that we see have kids, right? So when you're collecting referrals off this family, you have to make this kind of fun, if that makes sense. You can't make it boring for them or they won't do it. All right, so collecting referrals, if you don't get any referrals from that family, you can attribute it to basically 2 things. Either you didn't build enough rapport with them, they don't trust you, or you didn't give them a good reason of why these child safety kits are important. They didn't see the importance themselves. If they like you, you build a good relationship with them in the first 10 minutes, and they see a need for this, there's no way they're not referring people. There's no way. Right? So the way you ask for referrals, though, should be a very systematic and methodical thing. You should do it every single time, every single way at the same time. So Mary and Joe, right? This is where the police and firefighters, this is where they need your help. They're not asking for any monetary donations, so you don't have to worry about that. But what they are asking, though, is that you do your part in the community by sponsoring a minimum of 10 of your closest family members, friends, neighbors, anybody you know that can actually benefit from having these child safety kits, right? And then through rapport, I know that, you know, Mary, you have a brother who lives about 5 blocks from you, and he has 2 kids himself. Let's start with your brother. His name was Frank, right? Frank, okay. Now, Frank needs 3 child safety kits, correct? He has 3 little kids? Beautiful. And Frank's number, is it 773 or 312? It's actually 817. Oh, 817, and then she'll finish it, right? What you guys should do is when you're collecting referrals, use the low-hanging fruit that you got from rapport. If they talk about their brothers and sisters and a lot of people with kids, right? Or they own a daycare, or if you know an inn, don't let that inn pass you by right here. Use it, right? Now, the main reason why I'm saying use it is because when you're collecting referrals, any type of referrals, right? You're basically asking people to look through the Rolodex in their brain to refer people, right? Now, an easy way to like make this make sense to you guys is when you search Google, like if you searched on Google and you wanted to look up cars, you typed in cars into Google, you would get pictures of thousands of different cars, different colors, different makes, different models, right? It's a very broad subject, right? Now, if you type in red cars, all the red cars are going to come up. Now, if you type in red Ford Mustangs, guess what's going to pop up? Red Ford Mustangs, right? It works the same way with referrals, guys. When you're asking people to refer into the program, they're racking their brain with everybody that they can think of. What we have to do is narrow their search down in their mind too. Right? So Mary and Joe, who do you know that has kids? I'm already narrowing it down. Right? Mary and Joe, your kids play baseball. What about a couple of kids on the baseball team? Mary and Joe, I know little Susie, you said she does ballet on the weekends. You know, I'm sure there's a couple parents that would appreciate this kit. Why don't we start with them? Right? And the verbiage to collect the names and numbers should be this. So the only thing they need to get the child safety kits out is they need the parent's name, they need how many child safety kits they would need, and they need the best contact phone number for them. Right? Now, when you're collecting these referrals, guys, you're going to get some pushback. It's like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. Right? And what I mean by that, it's not like they're like, nope, I don't ever want this. Don't talk to me ever again. What I mean is they're going to be like, yeah, you know, I don't feel comfortable giving you those child safety kit names. No, I just don't feel comfortable. Can I talk to them first? You're going to get that. And there's no one phrase or one wording that works every single time to get them to give names. But there is one system that I use quite a bit, and it is very effective. It's called the feel, felt, found method. Okay? Feel, felt, found. So if I'm sitting there with Mary and Joe, and Mary's like, you know what, Drew, you know, I don't feel, you know, comfortable giving out these names of my family and friends yet. Let me talk to them first. I'm like, okay, yes, Mary, I understand how you feel. Right? So feel is empathizing with them. Mary, I understand how you feel. You know, not wanting to make sure, you know, not wanting to, you know, give anybody's name and number out. I understand how you feel there. I really do. And guess what, Mary? You're not the only member that ever felt that way. So I'm sure, you know, Mary and Joe, you're not the only member that ever felt that way. So including them in, right? People always want to be a part of a group. They want to feel like their opinion's validated. If I tell them other people think the same way, they're not like, oh, I'm not such a weirdo. Right? So feel, Mary, I understand how you feel. You're not the only member that ever felt that way. But what they found out through actually doing this is the most effective way to help the kids and to help get these child safety kits out to every parent in the community is by parents sponsoring other parents to receive their kits for free. And Mary and Joe, the best way they found out doing this is while you have your phone out, go ahead through the contacts from A to Z. That way we don't miss anybody. At that point, they're probably going to look through their phone. They might find one or two in there. Right? And mainly that's just because I listened to what they said. I projected it back to them. Right? So I found that their Their objection was valid. I showed them that it was valid with other people. Then I said, based on what you said, this is what we do. Right? So it's not so weird when other people are doing it. Right? Now, once again, when you're collecting the referrals, you got to make it fun for them. You got to coach them up. Right? So if you're asking for 10, people will generally give you half of what you ask for. So if you ask for 10, you're probably going to get 5. Right? Now, once you get one down, like let's say he's like, yep, my brother Joe needs them. He has 2 kids. I'm like, perfect. We got Joe down here. All right, you got 1 spot down. You got 9 spots left. Who's next? Who we got next, Joe? All right. Now, if you guys look at me on the screen here, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking down at a fake piece of paper that I'm writing on. Right? Because I don't want to ask them for referrals and then stare at them like this. Who do you got in your phone? I need those referrals. I'm just going to wait here like this really creepily until you tell me. Right? That's not the right way to do that. Like, if they're looking through their phone and they can see you on the screen and your head's down, they're just going to keep going through their phone. They don't like the awkward silence as much as you guys don't like it. Believe me. Right? But I'm going to tell you one thing here. Get comfortable in that awkward silence. Get comfortable in it. There's going to be some times in the presentation where you're going to ask them a question and you need the answer to that question before you can proceed. It might take 30 seconds to a minute. Might be uncomfortable for that 30 seconds to a minute, but just stay in the pocket, guys. I'm telling you. Right?
I have a question.
Yes. What's up, Corey?
So with the child safety kit, with the referrals, do they have to be in the area? Do they have to be in the state of Illinois, or could they be anywhere? Like, let's say you're asking me, who do I know? And I say, well, I don't really know a lot of people in the Illinois area. And my brother has 3 kids, but he lives 10 hours south, like in the southern state of Missouri.
Hey, that's fine. Guess what? You don't got to drive out there. You could do a virtual meeting in Missouri. I've done it. I've done virtual meetings in Texas. I did a virtual meeting in Hawaii, which is 4 hours behind us one night. I was up till 12 o'clock. It was 8 o'clock his time.
Yeah.
So I've definitely done that. Different states, it doesn't matter. That's the great thing about being virtual.
Okay. I knew like in terms of the virtual, like the meeting itself, I just didn't know if this translated to other states.
Yeah.
Or if this was just an Illinois thing, like with the police union.
Gotcha. Yes, it's every state. And to be honest with you guys, we're blessed here in Illinois because we're, this is a union state. There's a lot of unions in Illinois. If you go to places like Florida, California, there's states that are right to work states where they don't have unions. So what our company does in that situation is they have a lot of these child safety requests. So they work really, really closely with the child safe program. So yes, I mean, it doesn't matter where they're at. They always have access to this for sure. Very good question. Very good question. Right. So, I mean, I want to give you guys a few more tips on maybe collecting referrals. Like I said, one big one is keeping your head down and asking them. You got 2 spots there, taken care of. You got 8 more spots left. Who's next? Like coaching them up through it. Right. Another thing I like to do, especially what we're gonna get back on focusing on these referrals here, guys, is making up a little contest. Right? Just say, Mary and Joe, we're actually having a contest at work this week here where, whoever gets to help the most families with these child safety kits gets to get a little prize from the state director. Right? He hasn't told us what it is yet. He just told us, we get a prize. I'm hoping it's like a trip or, a weekend off or something like that. So, I'm just doing my part by helping you guys out. Is there anybody you know that can benefit from these child safety kits? So help me win this contest, guys. Right? If they like you, they'll be willing to do that. Right? Another small little one that I used to do out in the field is I used to use like scratch off lottery tickets as like a prize. I would say, Mary and Joe, if you're able to refer 10 people into this program, if you get 10 people on this piece of paper here, you're able to, qualify for a drawing to win $10,000. Right? I'm not lying to him. The top of the $1 scratch off says, 1 in $300,000 chance to win 10 grand or something like that. But they have a chance. And I just give them the scratch off ticket once they get all 10. Now it's a little tougher to do that virtually, to be honest with you, but you know, you just got to think of ways outside the box to collect these referrals, right? But I mean, that's really all the time I want to take on the child safety kits. Now, in your timeline going through your presentation, the child safety kit should probably take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, if that. If you're collecting a lot of referrals, then yes, maybe 10 minutes. If you don't get any referrals, this should be really quick. You know, you still want to make it personalized to them. You still want to walk them through how it works, right? But if you're collecting referrals, maybe 5 to 10 minutes off this. All right. So in your timeline, you're building rapport for, you know, 10, 15 minutes, you know, 2 to 3 minutes for the introduction, and then 5 to 10 minutes for this. All right. So now I'm going to open up the questions. You guys have any questions on the child safety kits at all? No? All right, beautiful. All right. So the next benefit that they had set up for you was the AIL Plus discount card. Okay. Now, first thing I tell them right off the bat is this card is not insurance. This is not going to replace your current health insurance. It's not designed to do that. What it's designed to do is save you out-of-pocket costs at places like the pharmacy, the chiropractor, optometrist, dentist, right? It's a discount program. So once I get done telling them, hey, it's a discount card, saves you on out-of-pocket medical expenses, it's not insurance, I just flip to the second screen and I let them know, hey, these are all the discounts that you can get. As you can see, you can get 10 to 85% at the pharmacy. Then right then and there, I ask them, do you guys take any prescription medications? Right? Because what I want to know going into this is what their health looks like. I can use this right here to dig a little bit into their health. Right? Use the no cost benefits, guys, to help you with that. To help you find out if they're in bad health or not. Right? So I said, Mary and Joe, do you guys take any prescription medications right now? And if they say yes, I'm like, okay, great. You guys could save some money at the pharmacy. Anywhere from 10 to 85% you could save there. Right? If they say no, I'm like, okay, no worries. You know, the great part about the card is if it can't help you, it can't hurt you. This card costs $0, guys. Right? This is a great benefit for them. Now, if you're on the screen with them and you see them wearing glasses, like I have glasses on my face, mention that prescription glasses are taken care of. 20 to 60% off of prescription glasses. Glasses are expensive, guys. I don't know if you guys wear them. You know, these frames are like $300. My insurance probably covered $200 of it. So there's still $100 I had to pay out of my pocket for. Right? If it could save me 20%, it's $20. Right? I'll take that all day. So prescription glasses are a big thing to note for them. Another big thing to note is the chiropractor, right? And diabetic supplements, CT scans, and MRIs. If they're taking diabetic supplements, then you know right off the bat that they're a diabetic, right? Meaning that they're either going to be a trial application or an application that is going to get rated. So you know, like going into the application, if they're healthy or not, right? Now, some people are like, yeah, I don't take any medications. And then when you get to the app, they take 50 of them, right? But just as a good first, like, I don't know, I don't want to say pry because we're not really prying, but like our first glimpse into their health, this should be the first glimpse into their health right here. I mean, your first real glimpse is when you see them on the screen, right? But at that point, looks can be deceiving. They could be a really healthy looking person and have so much stuff jacked up with them. You just don't know. That's why I asked them, Mary and Joe, do you guys take any prescription medications? So it'll save them 10 to 85% at most retail pharmacies. And I'm talking most. I'm talking like Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, Jewel Osco, which is in Illinois. The one place that's not going to work is Walmart. Okay, Walmart's very anti-union, and they're not going to let a union discount card in their store. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Now, places like Jewel Osco, Rite Aid, CVS, those are typically union stores, right? Now, those locations, it depends on the location of it. Like some of them are corporate owned, some of them are, family owned. The ones that are typically corporate owned are unionized. The ones that are family owned typically aren't. Does that make sense? So, after I get done explaining, what the discounts they can save here, next thing I say to them is now, Mary and Joe, it's not a physical card anymore. It's actually an app that you have on your phone. So I ask them, Mary and Joe, do you have an Android or do you have an iPhone? And they'll say, oh, I have an Android. I say, okay, great. All you're going to do is you're going to go to the Google Play Store and you're going to download the AIL Plus app. It's free. It doesn't cost them any money. All right. Now, when they download the app, the first thing it's going to pop up, it's going to say it needs a username and group password. They don't have access to that yet. So once we get done with the meeting, the top part of that needs analysis says AIL Plus discount program. So you're going to put their email address, their address, their phone number, and their name in there. And then once you get done with the presentation, 2 days later, they get an email that says, welcome to the AIL Plus program. Here's your group name and your password. And they're going to use that to log right into the app. All right. Now, I would advise you guys to download this app. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can use it. All right. And in order for them to send you a group password or an email, all you got to do is go create a fake app, an e-app, put your information in, and then delete the sale. It'll still get sent to home office. It will still give them a username and password, right? Or, if you guys are agents, I have a piece of paper that shows them how to get onto it if they're not, if they don't have an email. So there's a website they can go to log on to it. There's a phone number they can call as well. So if they're not too tech savvy, they can still get access to the card. They would just have to wait till the package gets out to them. Right. But at that point there, I ask them, do you guys have any questions on how the AIL Plus card works? Right. Typically, they're going to tell me no. It's pretty self-explanatory. Right. But do you guys have any questions here on the AIL Plus card? No? All right, beautiful. Now, once again, we explained why it exists. A lot of our members were paying a lot of money out of pocket for this, and we came up with this discount card to save our members some money. Walk them through how it works, right? Show them that this is what they can save here. This is how you would access it, right? The next thing I'm going to do, ask for referrals, right? So when you're asking for referrals here, you want to use what's called union buying power. All right, so do you guys know what union buying power is? No? Okay, good. So what union buying power is, it means, the more people that get involved in this program, the more providers we can get, and then the bigger discounts they can get. But it all depends on how many people are involved in this program. Because if Target sees that there's 3 million people involved in this discount program, they're gonna be, oh, yep, let's get involved with it too, because that's 3 million more customers they have, right? So, and they're like, maybe these 3 million people here, they're shopping at our store a lot. Let's give them a little bit more discounts, right? So the card, guys, it used to be like 10 to 15% on most of this stuff, but because more people are getting involved in it, there's more benefits out there, right? So the way I explain it, I say, Mary and Joe, the way the card works is with union buying power, right? And I'll ask them, do you know what union buying power means? And they'll say no or yes. And I'll say, union buying power means the more people that are involved in the program, the bigger discounts that they can get, and the more places will accept the card. So, because this is a brand new program here, they're allowing you to sponsor up to 5 people to receive their discount card as well. All right, so members typically sponsor in people who, either have their own business, don't have great work health insurance, maybe just retired, maybe just had a baby, maybe just got fired, maybe just lost their work-based benefits. I shoot a few examples out to them right there. They might know 1 or 2 people in that situation. Guys, this card is great for business owners because typically business owners are paying their own insurance.
And if they can cut costs somewhere, let's help them out. Right? And you might get 1 or 2 referrals there from that. I'm not going to say you're going to get a bulk of them there. You might get 1 or 2. But letting them know how the card works with union buying power and that the discounts used to be 10 to 15% and now they're from 20 to 80%. And that's just basically because members like you were sponsoring other people and to receive their discount card for free. So let's help some people out. All right. So no other questions on the AIL discount card. We're good there, guys. Beautiful. I love seeing the thumbs up. Came out of nowhere. All right. So the next benefit, or the third benefit that they have set up for you, was the family information guide. Okay. So digging for information with our clients, this is going to be probably the area where you're going to find the most about your clients right here. Okay. So once again, first thing we're going to do with all the no cost benefits, explain why it was created, right? So Mary and Joe, the next benefit that your union had set up for you was your family information guide. Now, the reason why this was designed is that our union members, they were passing away and their family could not find the information they need to start the process. They were flipping through every piece of paper in the house to try to find this information. Try to find this information. So we designed this guide to put everything in one easy location so that all your family has to do is look here, and then they can guide everyone to the information they need. And I'll ask them, Mary and Joe, do you have a will or anything like that set up yet? And they might be like, yes. They might be like, no. It doesn't matter. If they don't have one set up, great. Because this is a startup to a will. This is a good start to a will. If they don't have one, okay, great. This is a great start to a will. If they have a will already drawn up, you're going to say, fantastic. Great job getting that done. This is going to work hand in hand with your will. Right? And then basically, I just walk them through how it works. Pretty simple. I just say, basically, Mary and Joe, the first part at the top there, that's the vital statistics and historical data. That's your information. So name, birth date, zip code, married, where you're living at, anything in there. That's your personal information. All right. Second part down is the veterans information. Guys, don't miss your chance to get some brownie points here with the veterans. Ask them if they're a veteran. Mary and Joe, did you guys serve at all? They say no, okay, don't have to worry about that. Boom, boom, put an X on it. If they say yes, thank them for their service. Shouldn't have to tell you guys that, right? But I've been in presentations with trainees and they're like, yeah, we served in the Army. And then they're like, they just go right past it. That was a huge part of their life, guys. Talk to them about it for a couple seconds. Thank them for their service. You were in the Army, what branch? What'd you guys do? Get to know them a little bit there. That was a very, very vivid time in their life. I can guarantee they remember every single one of those days that they were there. Right? So just a good way to kind of build a little rapport, get a couple brownie points in there for you. Okay? Like I said, it's not going to work every time. You're not going to run into, union members that are consistently been in the armed forces, but you got to remember, guys, this is America. It's a volunteer army. It's a volunteer Navy. It's a volunteer Air Force. A lot of people go into them. Right? So just ask them a simple question there. Spouse's vital statistics and historical data is next. So that's where they would put the spouse. If you're sitting down with Mary and Joe, you would just say, Mary and Joe, you guys can fill out separate family information guides and just keep them together. Keep it easy on yourselves. All right? Watch is useless. Die. All right. So next part down is a pretty important section. It's persons to be notified. So when they do pass away, who do you want to notify? Typically, what I tell them, this is where your two main beneficiaries are going to go. If something happened to you, Joe, who would be taking care of everything? Mary. You're going to put Mary's name on the top here, and then who would be second in line? Your daughter, Sally. Sally on the second line. Right? And then as you can see in the bottom here, there's also a spot for person to be in charge of final arrangements. So who's going to take care of the last will and testament? Who's going to take care of the funeral things? Make sure they mark someone down there. Okay. The next section down is the will and testament section. So if they do have a will drawn up, Mary, you told me you had a will drawn up. You're going to put who your attorney is, who the executor or executrix is, where your papers are on file so that your family can find your will. Because what good is having a will and going through all that process to design it and create it and get all the information on paper if your family can't find it? You wasted a lot of time and energy if your family can't find your will. That happens a lot, guys. People create wills 5-10 years ago. They forget where they put them at. I walked in my house this morning at 6 o'clock and I put my cell phone charger somewhere. I don't know where it's at. That was 6 hours ago. Imagine if I created a will 5 years ago and I didn't know where it was at. Right? So I have trouble finding things that I put down six hours ago. Right? So it's not their fault that they can't find it. They might have put it in a very obscure spot, but people's lives are busy. You got to remember that. They're going to go about their busy life and not think about things like this. Right? So the only time that they're really going to think about stuff like this is basically when we're there, when someone close to them dies, or when their health starts declining. Right? 2 of those 3 times is typically too late. So I'd rather get this information to them while I'm here. Right? So if they have a will, once again, make sure they put their information in for the will. Right? Now, the most important section on here is the estate information. By far. It's by far the most important section on here. This is where you're going to find the most information about your client, the most relevant information about your client. So what I tell them, I say, Mary and Joe, this is your estate information. Excuse me. Or this is where all of your life insurance is going to go. And I circle life insurance. And I say, Mary and Joe, the reason why this is important is because just alone last year, $1.6 billion of life insurance went unclaimed. That is an extreme amount of money. That's hardworking people putting money into life insurance policies and it never going to their family. Let's make sure that doesn't happen with you. Right? So I ask them a very important question here. And they can answer this question in one of 3 ways. I ask them, Mary and Joe, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? Right? And there's 3 ways they could answer that typically. The first way they can say, yes, I have life insurance. I have permanent life insurance. Remember, guys, do you have any permanent life insurance in force? If they say, yes, I have permanent life insurance. I'm like, okay, fantastic. Who do you have it through, for example? I get them to tell me who they have their life insurance through. If they say State Farm, I'm like, okay, great. So you're going to write State Farm where the company is. You're going to put the policy number and then the amount. Right? So that all your family has to do is call State Farm, give them the policy number, and then they can issue the amount of life insurance to your family. Right? So I'm not really digging into what company they have there. I'm not asking them if it's term or if it's whole. I'm not asking those things right here because I'm not the expert in their eyes yet. Does that make sense? If I start spouting off information about this type of life insurance, if you have 50,000 here, that's just not the right time in the presentation to do that. You're not the expert in their eyes yet. After you explain term and whole life, after you explain the needs analysis, yeah, then you dig into their life insurance. Because at that point, they see you as the expert and they're willing to, give you the information. They might be a little bit cautious up front here because they don't think you're the expert yet. They just think you're some guy or some girl walking them through things. Right? So but why I want you to figure out the company is because every company sells a different type of life insurance. Right? So I know that if I sit down with somebody who has Primerica, that it's 100% a term policy. You guys are going to get good at this. Whenever you hear a company that you don't know you've never heard of before, in your notebook, write that company down. And your homework for that night is to research what kind of policies they sell. So that next time someone says that, you know exactly what they have. Right? Like I said, every life insurance company is different. Every company specializes in different things. There's companies out there that specialize in senior policies. There's companies that specialize in whole life. There's companies that specialize in term. Right? There's no way for me to give you a list of every company that says this company does this company does this. It's too hard. So what you guys have to do is do this by yourself. That's why 100 presentations solo is a real thing. You're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of different coverages. And you're going to be able to, go back in your notebook and say, oh, I heard of State Farm before. I know what they sell. I can help this member more effectively now. Right? So that's the first way they could answer that. They could say, yes, I have permanent life insurance. Okay, great. Who do you have it through, for example? Right? Mary Jo, do you have any permanent life insurance in force right now? Yeah, we have life insurance, but it's through work. Okay. So with the work coverage, you're going to put that under the 2 lines where it says group coverage. So work coverage goes here. And then there's no spot for an amount because quit, fire, retire, those benefits go away.
Yes,
Great, you got work coverage.
great question there. Because on the letter, it also